And we are live on another edition of Ballin in the Boot. I'm your host, Jace Lejeune. And what I got, usually it's just me and Spencer every week. We preview all the games, but might as well get I would say maybe the Mount Rushmore of Louisiana high school football right now. I mean, might as well get that going because we got Gridiron Football represented. We got the LHSA Network. We got 446 Sports. We got Under the Lights. I mean, we got it all. We got the whole gang here. I talked to Hayden before the show. We're not going to have exactly a Under the Lights 4-hour show, but we're still going to be diving into it and talking about a lot of these great playoff games. But guys, thank y'all so much for coming on Thursday night. I know Spencer said before the show it's kind of like Christmas Eve because tomorrow we got semifinal action. Time to punch your ticket to the state championship. So opening word from everybody first. Spencer is kind of like the OG on this show. He's been on the show throughout this whole playoff run. So I'm going to start off with you, Spencer. Just your thoughts going into tomorrow into semifinal action.
Well, Jace, obviously appreciate you having me on as always. I thought, you were going to let me back on, but, I just want to point out to the crowd, Jace got rolled last week. We had 9 difference of opinions games. I won 6-3 in that. So there you go right there. That's my
Spencer, the way I see it, I was just trying to be a nice guy, trying to be a friend. I think sometimes you need a little bit of an ego boost, a little bit of a confidence boost. And that's what I'm just trying to do, man.
We'll see what happens this week. We'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, hopefully your confidence is at a good level. That's what I'm just trying to do, Spencer. I'm looking out for you, man.
Obviously excited to be here again, be able to talk some semifinal football. We're only a couple days. We're less than a week away, we're a week away exactly. A week from today, we'll be sitting in the dome watching the final game of the night. If we're still in the second game, oh boy, we've had some overtime thrillers. So obviously just excited about this time of year and excited to be here talking some ball.
Absolutely. Let's say I see Hayden Howard Sr. already. Congratulations to Hayden. With signing one of the 15 car players that signed the other day. We're going to go into the end of car Cougars. Appreciate Mr. Howard for watching and watching the show. But Marshall, I know we usually catch up on Saturday morning, but it looks like we're going to preview a lot of these games. Appreciate you coming on. And I usually we talk on the Red River Roundup, but appreciate you coming on and talking some playoff football.
Yeah, usually you and I are recapping stuff that just happened a few hours prior, but it's been fun as we get down, to just a few games and we can all kind of concentrate, our brain cells towards these matchups. It's been fun to kind of really think about picking games. And it's the semifinals. This is, these are the biggest games played on campus, kind of similar to like the NFL, the conference championships and the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is this big event that is just, so much bigger than football in a lot of ways. But this is basically conference championship week. And, the campuses that earn home games are going to get a chance to host some big environments in some really interesting December weather.
Well, absolutely. You won't have to earn it. Like, this is kind of like the game. Hey, if you want that ticket, you want that to the Superdome, you're going to have to brave the elements to get there. It just seems like that's always just like the natural thing when it comes to semifinal football. And then really Hayden joined the show as well. Hayden's got like all the numbers, all the stats. He's got it. With a less than a snap, he's got everything for you. But Hayden, appreciate you, man. I know we talked about you coming on the show, and I know you're doing a lot of real good stuff, whether it's for the LCA Nights, whether Under the Lights, but I know you've been all over the place. But Hayden, appreciate you joining the show and talking some high school football as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been watching the last couple of weeks, especially to see if y'all make a pick against LCA or not. And, since Spencer brought it up, I'll bring it up also. Spencer saying that he was 6 wins into your 3 losses or whatever.
Right.
Last week, it's not a big deal, but I went 31-1 in picks last week.
Oh,
on the 32 weeks. So,
all right, flex on them.
We'll see if I do anywhere near as good this week, but yeah, it's been a fun time. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, guys. So, like you said, I know everybody's talking about last week, and obviously so. But it's a new week. It's a fresh start. It's a clean slate. We'll see who looks smart, who looks dumb by the end of this. Usually it's me looking dumb by the end of this, but I'm pretty much used to that already. But we're going to go and break down all these exciting semifinal playoff games, and appreciate everybody that's tuning in right now. We got a lot of people starting to tune in. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com for all of our picks. The three I got right from Cody Vick there. Spencer was confident on the Letcher pick over Iowa. So hey, that was I got right.
Don't bring up my losses. We're not gonna. You know what? Actually, we'll talk about it here. I love to talk about my wins, but I'm defined by my losses. And
yeah, that's it.
Against Iowa last week, and they won. And I'll give a little sneak peek for the Iowa fans. I'll pick against you again, since you know if it's gonna happen again, I'll let it happen again.
Cody loves it. Cody loves it. Hey, like, we're just trying to help y'all. We're just trying to give you some extra motivation.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. So, of course, we get them wrong. But, all right, guys, let's go and talk about Division 4. We're going to make our way from Division 4 first to Division 1. I know a lot of times when me and Spencer do the show and somebody, comments on the show say, oh, did y'all talk about Division 2 yet or Division 3 yet? And it's like, well, the beautiful thing about it is you can always go back after the fact and then watch it from the very beginning after we're live. So we'll make sure to put all the timestamps and everything when this is over. But let's go to the stage here. We're going to talk about Division 4 non-select first, and let's go and talk about these two semifinal games. So the first semifinal matchup, Haynesville-Jeanerette. Haynesville trying to go back to the Superdome for the third straight year in a row. And we talk about Haynesville, they're the second winningest program in Louisiana high school football in terms of state championships. Well, Haynesville fans, they know the expectations. They got to go through Jeanerette's having an excellent season, making the semifinals. Incredible season by Jeanerette this year, but can they overcome and beat Haynesville? We're about to talk about that. And then the second semifinal matchup, we have South Plaquemines. They are the defending state champions in Division 4 non-select. They were able to get through North Iberville last week. It was a great season for North Iberville, their first quarterfinal finish, but their season came to an end against South Plaquemines. Now, me and Spencer talk about this a lot. Travel makes a whole lot of difference in this one, and South Plaquemines has to go pretty much for the top of the state and play Mangum, a number 2 versus number 3 seed. That, my friends, is when seeding really matters in terms of home field. So that is your Final Four in Division 4 non-select. So, Spencer, since you're the veteran of the show, I'm going to let you go first, make the first pick. But Haynesville, Jeanerette. Haynesville's been dominant in the regular season. I know Isaiah Washington, the LSU commit, you're trying to punch their ticket to the Superdome. Can they do it against the Jeanerette teams having a special season this year?
Yeah, this game is going to be a lot of fun. Last night on the light, someone said Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant will be rocking in the pregame. So shout out to all those people that are going to be at Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant. This bracket is classic South Louisiana, North Louisiana. And especially we get two semifinals where it's almost as south as you can get in South Louisiana against about as north of North Louisiana you can get. And you got Haynesville right here. Look, everything's in front of them that they want to accomplish this year. I think the last couple of years we've mentioned it. It's been a letdown for them in the Dome. I think when you think about everything that's kind of transpired the last couple of years, they've got a pretty senior heavy group. Obviously, Isaiah Washington in his senior year wants to go out right. I just don't see a way that they fall on this one. I just think they're really about as good as you can get in the lower divisions. Now, apparently Oak Grove is moving back down to Division 4, so might have to put that on a little bit of a hiatus for a bit. But I like Haynesville on this one. It just seems like this year's their year.
Yeah. What about you, Hayden? Do you agree with Spencer? You think this is going to be Haynesville? Is it really their bracket really to lose here?
I think it was the whole year for Haynesville of everyone kind of all year long. It was Haynesville. And then Jeanerette has a special class right now. Lots of speed. Even though they lost Divine Douillon in week 1, they've still had the season that they've had. only dropping a game to Covenant Christian on a field goal, to win it from an 8th grader. I mean, that's a pretty incredible season that they've had. First time ever in the semifinals. But man, that's a long trip.
Mm-hmm.
I think Enoch said it last night. It's like 4 hours and like 50 minutes or something, close to 5 hours.
Yeah.
For a team who's maybe not used to that. I don't know when the last time Jeanerette has made a trip that far. Definitely not in these kids' playing time for real. But it's mainly just because of that. Just the history at Haynesville and stuff. Red Franklin Stadium, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go Haynesville.
Okay, we've got 2 for Haynesville. So Marshall, about you as well. You're going with the crowd here?
Yeah, and so Jeanerette did actually go up to Haynesville 2 years ago, 2023,
Right.
in the quarterfinals, and I think it was like a 30-point game. We called that game. One thing about the tours this year is, and Hayden, you'll recall this. This is kind of like the theme of Haynesville fans is usually they're like the hardest on themselves. They're not beating their chest saying, "Oh, we're this or that." Look, we're lucky we got a 1 seed. We got to work on, the backup right guard or the punt blocker. They're perfectionists. As late as like almost Halloween, some of the guys closest to their program were predicting them to get a 5 seed. Just kind of saying, look, we've got work to do. The issue during the season was just being consistent offensively and quite frankly being lax against some of the district opponents that just weren't a good matchup for them. They've seemingly turned it on. Washington makes them go on both ends. He's their best defensive back, and he's their difference maker on offense. Dakota Davis has been huge for them as an upperclassman. And then with Donnie and Mose Critton and Metters, they've got a lot of running backs that have come on offensively and turned them from inconsistent offensively to very deep. Home field is huge in Claiborne Parish for the Tours. And so, I'm picking the 1 seed to go back to the Superdome.
Yeah, it was like clean sleep right here. I have Haynesville as well. I think motivation is a big thing. After the last 2 years, the 2 years ago, Oak Grove, it was just what it was. Oak Grove was a wrecking machine that year, and nobody was going to beat them in that class. But really, last year, I thought this was an opportunity for Haynesville to win that game against South Plaquemines, and you know that Isaiah Washington, a lot of these seniors from this year felt like that really slipped through their hands. So I think they're really motivated not only to get to the Dome, but to win it all. I think it's really a big mission for them. So Jeanerette have a great season, but I think the road does end there for Jeanerette. So I have Haynesville number 1 seed moving on to the state championship game for the 3rd year in a row. Now let's go into the bomb side, and this is going to be an interesting conversation here. South Plaquemines and Mangum, and South Plaquemines, like we said, won the state championship, won the whole thing last year, and a lot of people were surprised by that, about how they were able to defeat Haynesville in that state championship game, and they proved a lot of people wrong last year, and still this year, kind of flying on the radar again. And you don't really expect that usually from a defending state champion, but you see them kind of flying on the radar this year. But Mangum been having a strong season. Scott Wilcher's done a great job with that team, with that football program, and they've been on the cusp really the last couple of years of getting right there. They've been really knocking on the door to try to get to the Superdome. Can that be the year? Can they beat the defending state champions? Spencer, we'll start off with you as well. Mangum, South Plaquemines right here. Who you have? I feel like we talked about a whole lot on the show that home field in this bracket, especially that bomb side of the matchup, is going to make a difference, especially we talk about one end of the state at the top, very top, and you got the very bottom in South Plaquemines.
A lot of Plaquemine fans in the chat. I just want to point them out first.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that.
They've got to have some support for South Plaquemines as well. I feel like those two schools should really support each other. I think even earlier this year, a school was going to play South Plaquemines and they went to Plaquemine High on accident. But no, this game's going to be great. I kind of go on, Aaron Dietrich and Jake Martin's radio show up in North Louisiana, and I give them my top 5 games, regardless of where you're at in the state. This is my top 5 games, and this game made it on there just because it's what's happened last year. Obviously, that's left a sour taste in these Mangum players' mouth. Is just they felt like they had a pretty good team last year, and then they had to go on the road down to South Plaquemines, and it got ugly quick. I just think that this year's Mangum team, there's just been something different about them. For a team that plays in the lowest classification, they've been playing with some really good teams throughout the year. You play against the Oak Groves, the OCS. They played Gina at the start of the year as well. I just think this year's Mangum team is kind of on a mission right now. They haven't been to the Dome since 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. And I just think that this team is just on a mission to get back. Now, I will say with South Plaquemines, get ready to keep seeing them throughout the years, because they've got an 8th grader who's really good and a 9th grader who's really good, and obviously the senior class is pretty good. But those 8th graders and 9th graders coming up are going to be pretty special. But I got Mangum in a close one up there in Dragon Country.
Yeah, we have Ryan here. He's obviously South Plaquemine representative. He's got the Hurricanes by 10 plus, so feeling really confident about the Hurricanes making the travel up in North Louisiana. And Hayden, for you as well. I mean, we talk about these two programs, Mangum, South Plaquemines. South Plaquemines, they've done it last year. Even though they make the drive up all the way to Mangum, they've shown they can do it. And Mangum, they've been really close under Coach Wilcher. Can they really overcome that hump tomorrow?
Yeah. I mean, I think a big thing also is that South Plaque actually went up to Mangum. Well, not to Mangum, because I doubt there's a hotel in Mangum, but they went up last night. So they've been there since last night. Actually, so Coach Pete, he's one of the best in the whole state, just at getting his guys ready. Even though, I mean, you look on their sidelines and they have 24, 25 players. It looks like every year, and they're still doing so well. I mean, they're becoming a program now where you're going to start seeing them every year in a bye week and hosting playoff games and stuff. But man, Mangum feels like they've been on a mission, especially the way they've played. Like you mentioned earlier, they played Gina, they played OCS, Oak Grove, Faraday, like all those good teams. Even though Faraday lost in the second round, that's still a really good Faraday team.
10 seed.
Really good team, talented.
Yeah, Mangum, I feel like it's just been on a mission. I think they have revenge on their mind, and I think that's going to be a theme kind of this week. There's a lot of revenge games for people that they can accomplish this week, and I think Mangum pulls it out.
Absolutely. Both these two teams played last year. Obviously, South Plaquemines won that game. We've got the rubber match here this year. Marshall, South Plaquemines, Coach Fee, they're trying to go back to back. I know so far we got Mangum. Are you kind of par for the course, or do you have South Plaquemines making the difficult travel up in North Louisiana, getting the win?
Well, speaking of travel, I think what Hayden said is very significant. I think the fact that they're already up there and getting acclimated to whatever it is that they need to get acclimated to. Because look, these 1A schools, if they're taking a bus ride, it might be on one of them yellow buses. They're not necessarily going to have 2 or 3 charter buses. Who knows? But regardless, I think it is huge for them to have this time to be there and get a normal practice in today. We'll see in Division IV Select. We talked about this last night. Division IV Select, the semis are highlighted by a player on the team that can make the difference. Division IV non-select is defined by head coaches that can make the difference.
Right.
Wilcher has been part of that staff since I think 2003. Laufey won under Coach Crutchfield at that school. And then Coach Franklin, obviously we know what his dad did there in over 3 decades at Haynesville. So the coaches are going to be very impactful here. I really do think the fact that what Hayden said about the travel situation, I think that gives South Plaque, I think that mitigates whatever else might happen with him trying to get adjusted. And I think South Plaque wins this game.
Yeah. Okay. So we got South Plaquemines there, defending state champs, and they've been used to playing these type of games like they did on that run last year. They returned their quarterback from last year, that state championship, Team Rod Parker. But I'm going to go with Mangum here, and it's because of what Hayden said. I mean, it's a competition that you play, especially in that district. You play Gina, you play OCS, you play Faraday, you play those teams. That is really tough, and it's going to get you set up for a playoff run like this. So it's basically, in my opinion, now or never, really, for Mangum to get there, to get to the Superdome. South Plaquemines will get there. They're going to be in the conversation every year. And I know Coach Wilcher's had this program in the conversation every year as well. But I think this is really an important time for Coach Wilcher and the Mangum Dragons to get it done. This is a big opportunity for them, especially for that game being at home. So I think that's going to make a big difference here. So I have Mangum. It looks like I have a number 1 versus number 2. I know that Marshall has Haynesville and South Plaquemines, but there's a reason why they're the top 4 seeds left, and there's a reason why they're still playing football at this time. So that is Division 4 non-select, and we're going to make the jump from Division 4 non-select to Division 4 select, and these are your 2 semifinal matchups. We have another number 1 seed. There's still a lot of number 1 seeds. I believe every number 1 seed still alive off the top of my head. So number 1 seed Westminster Christian. Opelousas having a fantastic year under Coach Byron Porter. They've checked every box, every check in the check box this year, and undefeated district champions, number 1 seed. Now they're trying to get to the Superdome, and their path is Ascension Catholic. If you like great running back play, this is definitely the game for you. Kyle Horde for Westminster, and then Trevin Simon. I know Hayden's going can definitely confirm that, but I believe he's 60 yards,
67,
67 yards. So you got
2
6,
touchdowns.
7. Yep. 6, 7. So 67 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
both
2
records
touchdowns.
single season.
Yeah, both single season records that were set by Xavier Ford just last year.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Just last year, and could be set again this year. And you look at the bottom side of the bracket as well. We have Ascension Episcopal. Obviously, there's been a lot going on off the field for Hamilton Christian, but you got to get credit for Ascension Episcopal winning that football game by that margin as well, and getting the job done. Now they got Riverside Academy, who really made a statement last week in that 38-14 win over Ouachita Christian. So we have Riverside Academy, Ascension Episcopal, and we have Westminster Christian, Ascension Catholic. So, guys, we're going to start off with the first game. We're going to start off with Westminster Christian, Ascension Catholic. Trevin Simon has been on a roll this year for the Bulldogs. This season, making those numbers like Hayden just talked about. And he's been pretty much unstoppable. He had 400 yards and 5 touchdowns last week. And you look at Kyle Horde. We talked about it before the show, but Westminster not only got Kyle Horde at running back, but Stephen George. He's going to be playing our Gridiron Football Bowl game at the end of the year. A really good quarterback, 4-year starter for Westminster Christian. They've really built up for this moment. Now the question is, are they ready for this moment? Let's talk about Ascension Catholic as well. Are they ready for this moment under Taylor James, first-year head coach at Ascension Catholic? So one of these 2 teams will punch a ticket to the Dome. Spencer, who do you think that team is?
I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. Last week is 50-42 that Ascension Catholic got the win over Point Capee. Westminster put up 52 on St. Ed. So I think we'll probably be around that 40-50 points for each team thing, but I think it's going to be a close one. I just like the way I like how we always talk about it every single week, but complementary football. Westminster, They play really complementary football. I think they could do a lot on offense that can really test your defense. They're not going to just try to run it down your throat the whole time. They'll try to beat you over the top with Stephen George at quarterback, who I think's done a great job this year. I'll let Hayden talk a little bit more about Kyle Horde and kind of what he's kind of going through right now. But I think I don't know, man. It just seems like this year for the Crusaders, it feels like it's kind of I don't want to say like written, but it just feels like the way that they've approached every game and been as dominant as they have been over the last couple of weeks. It just feels like a telltale story being written. So I'm gonna go Westminster in this one, but I think it's gonna be close. I've got 47-28 written down. for Westminster. But I think Ascension Catholic could probably make it like 47-42, somewhere in there.
Wouldn't shock me. Hayden, you got a little bit of a shootout here. I know you told us about Kyle Horde a little bit. I know you got a little bit, from what you've seen from the last game.
Yeah, I mean, so Kyle Horde has a shoulder injury. Don't know exactly how severe it is or anything like that. He played last week, just didn't play on defense. But he still ran the ball. And then, I mean, Spencer mentioned Stephen George. I mean, playing in the bowl game, deservedly so, because he's a fifth-year starter over there at Westminster, and he's been fantastic all year long. Like, for as good as Kyle Horde is, and he's kind of the headline of the offense, you would say, of what people talk about. But the offense doesn't go without Stephen George running it the way he does. Teams have to account for him every single play because he can throw it, he can run it. He does it so well. And then Ascension Catholic, I mean, Trevin Simon, over 3,000 rushing yards already. I mean, 51 rushing touchdowns, so only 2 away from that record also. And he's a converted linebacker who was not a running back last year. And replacing Chad Elsie, I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No.
And then also first-year coach over there at Ascension Catholic, one of 2 first-year coaches that are in the semifinals this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 3. Because we have another one in this bracket. But I mean, what a great job that they have done, and they've played the competition. You'll hear me say it a lot tonight of teams that have played the competition to be here and to prepare them for this moment. And I'm going to go with Ascension Catholic.
All right, so Hayden's got Ascension Catholic, so we got a little difference of opinion here with Spencer and Hayden. So Marshall, who you have? You're leaning with Hayden, you're leaning with Spencer?
Well, I mean, kind of hearing Hayden's insight on Kyle Horde as the season's progressed, and just looking at just little bits of film of him. I mean, this game. I mean, I just don't think it's that much of a cliche to say that the running back that has more of an impactful night could be the difference. I do think that with what Simon's done throughout each round and just continuing to like fill up the stat sheet the way that people either expect or need or are looking forward to him doing has been super impressive. And I think Ascension Catholic gets this done.
Okay, so we got Ascension Catholic. Well, Spencer, it looks like you're not going to be lonely. I'm going to join you here. So it looks like we'll be split here. But I'm going to go with Westminster. And I think that St. Edmund game that I saw really showed me a whole lot. Now, I think it's going to come down. Both running backs, I think they're going to get their yards. I know Kyle being a little banged up is big, but I think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. I really do. And I think here you got a quarterback that's in his 5th year starting, and Stephen George. I think it really makes a difference here. Game is at home, and I think I trust Westminster's defense to get that. I think it's going to be a little bit high-scoring game, but I think I'm going to trust Westminster's defense to get a stop or two, a difference in this one. But, Trevin's going to get his yards. He's going to get his touchdowns. I think Kyle's going to have a good game as well. But I think it's going to be a big game from Stephen George here. And, it's been kind of a special season, for Westminster. And it feels like on the run that they're at, like, it feels like it's not going to end anytime soon. So I'm going to go with Westminster. But, yeah, Troy, hey, Troy LaBeouf says, good pick, Spencer and Jace. So, yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. So, hey, like, just think about it this way. We're just giving your guys some encouragement. That's what it's all about. Some motivation. So that's what it's all about. That's the way you guys see it. And I'm sure Coach
Feel free
James
to prove me wrong.
I'm fine with being wrong.
So Coach James going to definitely play R2 bits about Westminster winning this game, but it should be.
I think everyone other than Leesville fans are rooting for Trevin Simon to break the record, and then whoever you want to win, that's a separate thing. I think everyone wants this kid to break it because it's been special.
Yeah, right. I mean, all the records, and he's another guy that's actually playing in a bowl game. So, I mean, I think maybe if he doesn't hit that record, maybe he used the bowl game stats to get over the top or something. We're going to find some kind of loophole there for Trevin at the end of it. But, yeah, guys, Yep, already cut up. Troy said already cut up. So he's already got the sound bites already cut up. So that should be interesting. But yeah, one more thing before we go to commercial break. Chris Anthons from Ascension Catholic, he won a Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So we're going to try to see if we can catch up with Coach James tomorrow morning, probably pretty early before the playoff game later that night, so we can talk about his performance. All right, so that does it for Division 4. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Division 3. We'll give a shout out to our sponsor, Tommy's Windows, for sponsoring Ballin in the Boot. So if you want a free estimate for Tommy's Windows, make sure you give them a call, 225-250-8808, or go to gotommys.com. So we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, guys. About to add everybody. I know there's a little bit extra work adding 4 guys on the stage after the commercial, but I'm getting a little bit of my fingers getting a little bit of a workout in. So I know we got a lot of people right now saying, let's get to Division 2. Let's get to Division 2 non-select because we got the Plaquemine folks.
No, the Plaquemine fans are hungry, bro.
I know. They really want this. I got to tell you that. They really want a state championship. But before we get into that North DeSoto Plaquemine game, let's go and talk about Division 3. So we are going to go back.
Are we not the Ascension Episcopal in Riverside?
Oh, we didn't even pick that game.
We talked so long.
That's true. That's true. I mean, that is a really good point. Let's go back to that one because we totally missed that one. So that's the other side of the equation. But Ascension Episcopal and Riverside Academy. So basically about that game, Riverside Academy, what a win they had last week against Ouachita Christian. And me and Spencer talked about it. We felt pretty confident that whoever won that game, we felt really good about going to the Dome. But Jane Obikwe, the running back from Riverside Academy, has been kind of on the tear the last couple of games. And, they have really good experienced quarterback, Brock Bourgeois, got a lot of dynamic weapons like Kennery Boogie Johnson. And you look at Ascension Episcopal, they've been playing some of their best football as well. I mean, it's really a great dramatic win over Kentwood. We talk about the win last week as well against Hamilton Christian for their defense to contain Javon Vital, to only hold that offense, that explosive offense of 7 points. It's going to be a really good chess match with how well that defense is playing and against a really explosive Riverside Academy offense. But Spencer, I mean, I know you're really high on Riverside Academy, but does the result from Ascension Episcopal change your opinion at all?
No, and a lack of words. I think this Riverside team is really, really good this year. At the start of the year, I don't know how high I was on them. I was pretty high on Southern Lab and Kentwood, but I knew that they had a lot of talent returning and a lot of talent that we saw in the Dome. We saw a lot of that in the Dome 2 years ago when they were all like 8th graders, 9th graders, sophomores. So it's been fun to watch this team play. And obviously I was at the game for a little bit on Friday night, and Obikwe, man, that kid, I went into it and I was like, okay, where's the boogeyman at? He's going to come out. He's going to do his thing. Obikwe, it was like, man, he's moving the ball right now. No one can stop him. I just think they're playing really good football right now. Being able to handle OCS in the way they did after OCS did what they did to Southern Lab. I just think Riverside's probably head and shoulders above the rest of the bracket right now. So I'm going to take Coach Roussel in the Riverside Academy Rebels.
And Hayden, Riverside Academy. Rob Bourgeois, he was a freshman when they went and played in the state championship game against Southern Lab, and then trying to get back there again. But yeah, Jano Beakway has been really picking it up. That's kind of like the question we talked about: who was going to replace Chad Elsie? Who was going to replace Detrick Lasty from last year? And it seems like they found a guy over the last couple of games. And there's just so many weapons to defend. When we talk about Riverside Academy.
Yeah, and then you look at it, and so Jaden Beakway didn't play the first 4 games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, first 3. The first 3 because he was eligible week 4 was whenever he became eligible. They have won 10 straight games since week 1, which is their only loss to 5A Terrebonne, who everyone has been talking about all year, has one of the biggest offensive lines in the state.
Right.
Bear Adams running the ball, like good offense. They held Terrebonne to 24 points as a 1A Division 4 school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that says more than anything to me about this Riverside team and kind of their makeup of their team. They're not small. They're not slow. Like they're just good in every spot. And then Bourgeois at quarterback, 3rd year starting, I think it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Obikwe, ever since he came on, I'm looking at their scores right now. 41, 42, 49, 51, 47, 56, 63, 38. Like, they've just been absolutely insane on offense. Because now what do you do whenever you have to guard Obikwe and Boogie?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else can still make plays. These are just the 2 we hear about all the time.
Right.
I've had Riverside penciled into the dome pretty much all year long. Once I saw them the way they played Terrebonne, I've just kind of been super high on them all year. I'm going to go with Riverside in this one.
And Marshall, I know you picked against the grain a couple of times on the show. Ascension Episcopal, I know we talked a lot about Riverside Academy, but they've only had 1 loss this year. And it seems like they're kind of really flying on the radar. Really their only loss this year was the Lafayette Renaissance, and that was by 1 point. That was their only loss this year. But they've been playing some really good football as well. Their defense has been pretty spectacular in this playoff run, only giving up 14 to Kentwood, only 7 to Hamilton Christian. So if there's a defense, that's the story of this game is how this defense can contend with Riverside's offense.
Well, I think, just judging on everything that Hayden just said about what what their offenses look like since September, I think that speaks volumes, regardless of the kind of, the shape Ouachita Christian was in last week. That's 38-14 is really impressive. And for all the reasons that Hayden stated, I think Riverside gets back to the Superdome like they did 2 years ago.
Yeah, I have Riverside Academy winning the whole thing from the very start. So I'm really, really impressed with this team. I saw this team play Episcopal, scrimmage them in the preseason before the regular season started, and they have a lot of, like we talk about for South Plaquemines. They have a lot of guys 8th grade and 9th grade that are playing right now, and they're really good. They seem like keep on cranking up all the 8th grade, 9th graders, and they got some upperclassmen talent as well to counter that young talent. So I like Coach Roussel. I like Riverside Academy. I have a lot of respect for what Ascension Episcopal is doing this year and the run that they've had to set them up in this position. But I did pick Riverside to win the whole thing from the very beginning. So give me the Rebels. So I went a little bit ahead of myself. I appreciate Hayden for making sure I'm on my toes right here and don't go through skip anybody. But I'm really glad he did. So now we're going to go to Division 3 and talk about these teams. These are really the 4 teams we kind of figured at the very beginning when we talk about Division 3 non-select. First, the Gina Giants. They're back in the semifinals, and they're trying to overcome that hump again. They're trying to get to the Superdome. Coach Roard does an awesome job with the Giants. They got a really good 1-2 punch in Cedric Wilson and Daniel Hatcher. But Union Parish, this is not exactly – I know Marshall can talk a lot about Union Parish here, but this isn't exactly the Union Parish team we've seen of old, but it doesn't matter. Just get them in November, get Coach Spat for again, this team right in November, and you've seen what kind of run they're making right now. Have a chance to go back to the Superdome again. as they'll take on Gina. And then the bottom side of the bracket, what a matchup. This was a rematch from the state championship game a year ago. St. James and Sterlington. And Sterlington's been putting up some points as well over the last couple of games. So this could potentially be a shootout. It was 35-28 last year when Sterlington won the state championship. I called the St. James game last week, and man, they got some weapons. Jawan Jackson's a fantastic quarterback. The Villanova brothers are really explosive as well. They got so many different weapons there at St. James, and we know what Coach Doty's doing with Sterlington, what kind of championship team he's got that team every single year. So this is going to be two intriguing matchups. Obviously, we talk about the first game first. Gina, Union Parish. It's kind of hard right now going against Union Parish because they ended not one but two undefeated team seasons. We talk about ERAF and we talk about Kinder. Spencer, are you going to go against Coach Spatafora and the Farmers right now, the way they're rolling in November? Or is it Gina's year as a number one seed?
Well, last week I think I picked Union Parish to win.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty confident that Spat and his squad would make it back after they beat ERAF. I felt like, all right, they're going to be back in the semifinals again. Spatafora is confident about his squad right now. Jay Roark's confident about his squad. I think all four of these coaches are probably pretty confident, just saying, well, we've made it here. Once again, it's like the invite-only dinner you only can get into right now if your name is Gina, Union, St. James, or Sterlington. But this is I think this is Gina's year. I think just the team that they have has just been so impressive throughout the year. We said the same thing in 2023, though. I just think that you look at what's happened over the last couple of years, the semifinal heartbreak. I just think this is the year they kick the door down. I really like the way this Gina team is playing right now. So give me Gina to defend home turf. But man, it's going to take something special to slow down this Union Parish team.
Yeah, it really is. They just know how to win in this time of year. I mean, going to state championship after state championship, and I think going to 4 straight or 5 straight. I mean, they were really on a roll. And Hayden, obviously you're familiar with Union Parish, obviously with Trey Holly and breaking the all-time rushing record. You know what you're going to get from Union Parish. You're going to have to play that game in a phone booth. That's what you're going to have to play against Union Parish. But Gina, kind of the same thing. They've been a dynamic offense this year, running the football with the 2 running backs, and Hatcher and Wilson. And is it that time for Coach Roark to? If you're going to overcome the hump, you want to try to get to that mountaintop. You're going to have to be a guy like Coach Spatafora and his Farmers.
Yeah, I think a big thing also is that Gina can be multiple. Like we talk about, they run a double wing and they have a great running back stable and stuff, but they have good receivers and they can throw the ball well also. I remember Under the Lights did the Bunky Gina game, and I was watching that, and the first touchdown for Gina was a jump ball, 50-50 ball in the end zone, and the kid just wins. The receiver looked like he was about 6'2". I don't know his name, but number 1 out there. And so they can be multiple, which is what you have to do to get through Union Parish. You can't rely on one aspect of the game because Coach Spat and his guys, they're going to be ready for it. They're going to have a game plan for your best play. They have a game plan for it. So you better have some other things in the chamber to kind of go with. It's also hard to go into Gina and win. I think that this class has kind of gotten over that. Hey, we're sick of being the bridesmaids. We're ready to be the bride and go to the big dance and stuff. So yeah, I would say Gina.
Okay, so we got Gina. We got 2 for Gina. Marshall. I know you know Union Parish a whole lot. You cover the Farmers. You know exactly what that program's all about, more than all of us. But what do you think here? Like we mentioned so many times on the show, not exactly the regular season we're usually used to seeing from Coach Spatafora's crew. But when they just, for whatever reason, when they get to November, they start winning, and they're really tough to beat this time of year. But where are you leaning with this one?
Well, I think for Gina, you mentioned their passing game. That's Adrian Cooper, number one on the outside,
Right.
a senior, and when teams load the box, they have that one-on-one, so they just shrug their shoulders and say, okay, they got a senior quarterback too, Deuce McPherson. So they just take that when it's given to them. When we talked to Coach Roark on 446 Sports, he said that this might be the best offense he's ever had. Coming from a coach that doesn't mince words, that spoke a lot to me. So if this is the best offense he's ever had, he'll be playing it tomorrow night against the best defense that Union has been playing all season, which is the past 2 weeks. So you hear Hayden say strength on strength a lot, then this is a quintessential example of that.
Yep.
A really good Giant offense against a Union defense that has been incredibly stingy and just in control of games throughout the playoffs. Since I'm calling the game in an official capacity, I'll skip making an official.
Stay away from it.
But it's going to be Gina scored over 60 several times this year, so it will be a really good offense against a really good defense. I think that's this matchup.
Yeah, man, that's definitely a key to victory for sure. And really, with Union Parish, I mean, those are two great quarterbacks they played in the last two games. You talk Isaiah Thomas from Kinder. You talk about Jack Landry from ERAC.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two great quarterbacks that they played.
Contained them,
yeah, to really slow them down like they did, it says a lot about that defense. But I mean, if you coach Roark, you're going to run to Coach Spatafora. I mean, pretty much about every year, depending on the side of the bracket at some point. So if it's not going to be now, I'm going to say it's a whole lot on the show. But if it's not now, when is it going to be? You talk about the offense. And that's saying a whole lot too, because he had some great players that have gone through. Jeray Jenkins. I mean, they got a lot of great players that have gone through the program and Coach Roark. But I mean, it's time. It's really times now with their offense, and that's going to be the story. Their offense against Union Parish's defense. But I'm going to go with Gina's offense. I think this is the time that you're going to get it done. You're going to overcome that hump. This is the time to do it. So I'm going to go with the Gina Giants to go to the Superdome. But it won't shock me because of what Coach Spatafora has done with his program. Now we would talk about the bottom side of the matchup. Really, we talk about this game a whole lot. Last year, we could have probably said it won't shock me if we saw Sterlington and St. James in the Superdome for 4 straight years. But just the way the brackets came out, they happen to be on the same side. We don't get to see that in the Superdome. We see that game earlier in the semifinals. St. James, I mean, what can you say about them in terms of just skill, talent, and speed? I don't think there's a lot of teams that can compete with St. James this year. They've only got one loss this year, or 2 losses. They got 2 losses this year. But they did beat St. Charles Catholic. That was their one loss this year. And Sterlington, what can you say about the defending state champs? They just get stronger and stronger. You look at Sterlington, they got like 100 players on their sidelines. But, man, they've been a powerhouse for sure. So Sterlington, St. James, 2 versus 3. Game is played at Sterlington. And, we talk about how much home field can make a difference. Obviously, state championship game last year, and the game was won by Sterlington 35-28. You got a feeling it's probably going to be a high-scoring game once again. Spencer, do you think that the Wildcats get their revenge, or do you think Sterlington once again will defeat the St. James Wildcats?
Well, there's a lot of familiarity with these two programs at this point. 2023, they ran into each other at the semifinals. St. James won. And I remember very vividly last year when Sterlington won, Coach Doty was like, it definitely played in our heads that, when they were dancing all over our field, and that hurt like they couldn't imagine. So, obviously St. James wins in 2023, 2024, Sterlington beats them in the Dome. They said they use that as motivation. Is it now, hey, St. James is about to go back up there, and now they're using that last year game as motivation? And you can kind of look at it and it's like, all right, cool. Well, we're just going to keep seeing each other every single year, and whoever wins the last year, maybe we start a little cycle here. But this St. James offense, man, they're fun to watch. They do so much that, like, there's so many guys I mean, last week we saw, obviously we saw Ja'Kias have a really long touchdown catch. We saw his younger brother, I think, get in the end zone a couple of times. So they've got a lot of guys who can score. But Sterlington has been putting up some numbers like you wouldn't believe in the last couple of weeks, just dominating teams. Putting up numbers. I can see this game probably being in the 50s and 40s range again for both teams. But I'm going to go with St. James on the road to do it again. They go up there to Sterlington. They beat them up all there on the road and advance to the Dome.
Okay, so Spencer's got the road team. They got the St. James Wildcats. Hayden, this is definitely a matchup that we talked about a whole lot. Coach Joey's doing an awesome job with that team, and he's been really, I can say, one of the top coaches in the state from what he's been able to do in building that Sterlington program. But St. James, Coach Davis has been right there the last 2 years, losing in the state championship game to Union Parish in that classic finish, and then obviously last year Sterlington. But is it too much to ask for St. James to make that travel up to Sterlington and get a win?
Yeah, the St. James team is special. And this game is actually funny. It's Battle of the Brothers, is what I want to call it, because
That's right.
Ja'Kias and Jaden Villanova, and then on the other side on Sterlington, you have Trey and TJ Birch.
That's right.
For Sterlington. And so just it's always fun. I played with my brother at LCA, so that's always a great thing to see whenever families are like that in the same teams. But man, this St. James teams feels like they've been on a mission this year to get to this game. This is one of those revenge games that I mentioned earlier that St. James has had circled all year long. Hey, I don't care where we see him, we just want to see him kind of deal. Whether it's in the Dome or in the semifinals, whatever, they just want to see him. But man, this Sterlington team has played top competition and beaten some of them and been in the game with some of them. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Washita Parish versus Sterlington. Sterlington is in that game the entire game, neck and neck the entire time, and Washita Parish is in the semifinals of non-select Division I.
I guess that.
So, yeah, yeah. But man, I've been pretty high on both of these teams all year long. They've been my 1, 2, 3 kind of up there with Madison Prep ULab all year long, in 3A. But for this game, it's the home field for me that just gives Sterlington a slight edge, and I'm taking Sterlington.
So we got Sterlington. I see a comment here from Scott Parker. He says Sterlington by 14. He did make up a good point about the 2 losses this year. You talked about that already, Hayden. But Washita Parish, Neville, they're playing against each other for a right to go to the championship in Division I. So it shows you what the schedule they play this year. Marshall, I know you're familiar with Sterlington as well. We talked about St. James a lot on the show too, the Red River Roundup. But man, I mean, to me, I had to flip a coin with this one. I mean, this could really go either way with how well these 2 teams are, and you can make the case probably the 2 best teams in this whole bracket on that one side.
Yeah, it really is a coin flip game, and Hayden, to add on some of your family ties, Devin and Dylan Downs were brothers that played for Sterlington. One of them graduated, the other one's a junior on that team this year. Also, the offensive coordinator, Bobby Breen, who played at Neville back in the day, his son, J. Rod Breen, is the quarterback. So there's some family ties there in Sterlington. Both of these teams are 3A teams that kind of like U-High and St. Charles. They're 15 deep at every single personnel group that you could try to identify. There are no weaknesses. They do nothing wrong. They're incredibly disciplined. They're incredibly experienced. They're incredibly well coached, and they are scared of nothing. It's a coin flip game, but at the beginning of this season, after watching St. James in the postseason the past 2 seasons, early on, they were my pick to just get it done, to absolutely not let themselves fall short again, with Jawan coming back, with Ja'Kias there, and Kenny King Young, who's not there, is super impactful as well. Because I just felt that was the way the story was going to end for them at the beginning of the season, I'm going to pick the Wildcats in an absolute coin flip game.
Yeah, I went back and forth with this one at the very beginning. I mean, kind of knew what that bottom side of the bracket was going to be. We talked about it, like the way it was set up. You talk about Jawan, and he's only he was a freshman last year. He was a 9th grader last year. He's only a sophomore going in this year, and you knew what the talent that Sterlington had coming back. Like, you could see this for 4 years. You can see this as either a semifinal game or a state championship game next 4 years. And I had St. James. I picked them to win it all. So I guess it's a little bit of recency bias. I called their game last week. I saw a lot. I heard a lot of the train horn. I mean, I heard a lot of the train horn for sure down beautiful downtown Bassery. But you talked about it. I think replacing Connie Young as well at the running back position. They've done a great job in a little bit of running back by committee. Jaden Villanova, Jakai's little brother, has stepped up. He scored 4 touchdowns last week. And really, Jawan's the real deal. I mean, I think he's going to be as good as he can really be. Only a sophomore is going to be scared what he can be as a senior. I think just being that close like the last 2 years were in the Superdome, because not only they lost in the Superdome the last 2 years, they lost on some heartbreakers of the last 2
games. Yeah.
One possession game. So I'm gonna go with St. James. I mean, I think they're really motivated to get back. Motivation is really key here. So like you mentioned, like Spencer mentioned as well, give me the St. James Wildcats. It's tough to make a travel up there in North Louisiana, but I think the Wildcats are up for it, especially after what I saw them do against Oak Grove. You don't see Oak Grove get beat down like that. So really impressed with the Wildcats. But I know Sterlington's going to be up for the challenge. It should be one of the best games, I think, out of all the brackets. So that is Division 3 non-select. We're going to go down to Division 3 select, making the transition here. I don't think Hayden has an opinion on this game. I don't think he has an opinion. I'm going to just say that. No opinion at all. But LCA, Dunham, what a matchup that is. I mean, we kind of circled this one at the very beginning. But LCA, obviously Brandon Walker, and all the skill talent they got there at LCA. Everybody's going to talk about the quarterbacks, Brandon Walker, Elijah Haven for Dunham. But we're going to talk about that matchup. But both those two teams have been rolling this year, and really two of the best teams. And they've had great teams, both Dunham and LCA over the years. But that might be one of their best teams for both of them. So something's got to give right here between both these two programs. Should be a fun one. And then the bottom side, we got Calvary Baptist and Notre Dame. Calvary Baptist had to win the game, kind of Jules Sumner-esque to win that game, 14-7, which kind of surprised me there. It wasn't a shootout. They had to win it ugly, 14-7. And you look at Notre Dame, I mean, what you can say of Louis Cook, one of the greatest coaches out there of all time in Louisiana high school football, still getting it done. They're able to sweep Lafayette Renaissance 27-19. Joaquin Bourgeois is going to have a great season this year for Notre Dame too. So Notre Dame, Calvary Baptist, two winning coaches. Two coaches have won a whole lot of games over their careers. So that should be a great one. Game is played at Notre Dame as a number 2 seed. So Division 3 select has always been one of my favorite brackets. It's always been a fun bracket to cover. But we look at the top side of the bracket. I think that's the game I'm leaning towards going tomorrow, actually, LCA and Dunham. So I'll probably be seeing Hayden tomorrow. But LCA, Dunham, Spencer, we talked about it, 2 outstanding quarterbacks, and talk about 2 great supporting cast members as well for both these 2 teams. Should be a really fun one. But you have LCA, or you have Dunham. Remember, Dunham had to come back last year in the playoffs. Hayden doesn't want to remember that game, but Dunham came all the way back and won that football game. So you know that's on their minds for LCA.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. You know, this is kind of like a revenge tour type of game. I think LCA has been playing at a much higher level than they were last year. I thought last year they really turned it up towards the end of the year, but this year they took that and it improved upon it so much. I think, you know, a lot of those guys got older. This senior class, Coach Chop has continuously given them their flowers for how much they've gone through throughout their 4 years of playing. Maybe some of them 5 for playing for the Knights. I think that, you know, when we look at kind of this matchup, you're looking at some really, really good skill groups. You know, Dunham's got obviously Elijah Haven. They've got Jarvis Washington. You know, I can go down the line and keep going. You know,
like
LCA.
5 or 6 receivers. I don't know.
You can just keep going on the whole thing. I think it's so tough because, you know, I think at the start of the year, a lot of people predicted this to be the matchup that we would see in the Dome. But we get it here in the semifinals on Christmas Eve. And I'm going to go with LCA on this one. I just think they're going to be too much for Dunham. I just think too many weapons, home field advantage, night field gets loud.
Yeah, there's a lot leaning towards LCA. I have no idea. I'm in suspense. I have no idea what Hayden's about to pick here. I am just like, I have no idea who he's going to pick. But Hayden, obviously, I got to get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I normally try and steer away from talking about LCA just because I let other people talk about us. I like talking about everyone else more than anything. So I'll talk more about Dunham here than I will LCA.
Okay.
Watching a lot of film of Dunham, I mean, I watched them all year long because I knew that this was a matchup I wanted and all of our kids wanted all year long. So anytime they had a game stream, I'm watching that game any chance I can get. And man, I mean, you can talk about Elijah Haven all night long, but then you go down the line. You mentioned Jarvis Washington. Then you go down again, Trevor Heyman, Richard Montgomery, Jerome Harris, Chris Thomas, Colin Peake. Like I can just keep going and naming people that affect games in a big way. And it just feels like they have them all over the field. This is a game that after last week, talking to the guys at LCA and stuff, we already knew that Dunham was coming into town this week, and every one of them was, that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted Dunham. We want Dunham. We've been waiting for this all year long. Like they all remember the bus ride home from the quarterfinals last year after giving up a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. So it's a game that we've wanted all year long. It's a game that I've wanted all year long because I like seeing LCA go against the best competition, and especially these national recruits. Like we got to see Pop Houston in week 9 come into town. I love, even though it's a scary matchup, because they're so good. It's so fun to watch in person, and I'm glad to hear that JC might be coming down because last time you watched us this year was week 2 in Carencro.
Yeah, it was
fantastic game, and we won it. So
maybe I'll bring some good luck charm tomorrow for sure.
But I'm definitely going LCA if anyone had any questions about it.
I had no doubt in my mind, Hayden, for sure. Marshall, obviously we talked about Dunham a lot on the show because I covered them a whole lot, and I've called them beat down Episcopal this year, firsthand experience. So seeing Dunham firsthand experience a couple of times, but I know you're really excited about this matchup, LCA and Dunham, in terms of all the Saturday talent that you'll be seeing on the field at one time.
I am, and actually, y'all both bring up a good point. Like, so we have talked about Dunham a lot because I know you had great insight there. We actually haven't talked about LCA a lot, and the reason is that because they just get such good coverage from so many areas that I'm the far from the most qualified person to talk about the Knights. And there's minds way better than mine. One of them in the room here that can do that. So since Hayden isn't, I will take a chance to do so. And I've coached in this bracket for years and have probably never rooted for LCA to win a game. But I think that film with Evangel this past year, I think that if anybody inside or outside Louisiana wanted to watch, Louisiana football and then start everything that you need to know, that's at the top of that pyramid from this year. The film on that game, the actual ways that game plan, execution, skill set, everything. So much of what you try to paint about Louisiana football, go watch that game. Go watch Braden Allen, some of the stuff that he did on the outside of that game. Houston, obviously, on and on. Hayden mentioned, that trio of receivers for Dunham that Jace, you've talked about before. And Dunham's defense, of course, when you've got that kind of offense, the defense is going to be underrated. But it's a really good defense. Weather could affect this game in a big way because of these multiple offenses and what they want to do with speed and athleticism. That's not to say that neither one of these teams can adjust to that, but it will be interesting. But just going back to the overall thing, this roster that that Coach Chop has has led this year is overwhelming, and I think the Knights win this game.
Real quick, the
Yep.
weather's actually, so I just pulled it up. The weather, it looks like over here is going to be gone by 1 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So rain should end around 1 p.m. It should be about 15% for the rest of the night. So maybe a couple showers here and there, but
I mean,
shouldn't be
if
too
y'all are
bad.
like, we were at Kinder, and you like it wasn't raining, but you just feel like running a route and throwing a ball through this, whatever this thick air is, just doesn't feel like it's going to work. So that's what I'm interested to see.
Gotcha.
Like,
Yeah. Well, we talk about both these two teams have great supporting casts. I mean, I've been around Dunham long enough to tell you that, be honest with you, I think this is the best team Neil's had at Dunham. And this is, keep in mind, they've had some teams that went to the state championship games under Neil. But I think this is the best team he's had. But that just shows you how highly regarded I have for LCA because that is a really good Dunham team. I mean, we talk about their receivers a whole lot, but their defense, I'm just impressed with their defense as their receiving talent. Like, this is, everybody talks about Elijah Haven, rightfully so. He does deserve the mentioning, but really this team as a whole is really good. When we talk about LCA, I think the difference in this game is going to be the running game. And I really think right now Dunham's had a couple running backs this year to kind of replace in and out with Trevor Heyman, Colin Pickett, guys like that, because they had some injuries there. Cam Bellard over there at LCA too can tote the rock too. So I think he's going to be the X factor in this game. Especially when it gets cold, it gets, even though it might not rain here and there, you still want to deal with some of those conditions. So I really like LCA supporting. I like both these teams supporting casts, but I like LCA's a little bit more. So I'm going to go with LCA. I'm going to get the Knights to get the win at home. But that's why I'm going to that game, because I am super stoked about LCA and Dunham. So that is the top side of the bracket, and we go to the bottom side of the bracket. Notre Dame, Calvary Baptist. I mean, Coach Cook, Coach Ewan, I think combined for 500 wins or something like that between the both of them. Calvary Baptist, 2 years ago they won the state championship. I thought last year they were going to go back and win it, but they got upset at home against Catholic New Iberia. But Notre Dame, a number 2 seed. It's hard to go against Louis Cook and the Pios right now. They are the home team, but Calvary just showed you they can win on the road like they did last week against Joel Sumner. Spencer, here I believe you picked Calvary Baptist. That was one of the games we went against each other last week. But I was totally shocked how Calvary won that game, 14-7. I thought it was going to be, if Calvary won, it was going to be a little bit more higher scoring. But they won in the fashion that Joel Sumner usually wins these games. But what does that tell you about Calvary? And does it change your opinion going this game against Louis Cook and Notre Dame?
I will say, I think the weather definitely favors Notre Dame. It's going to be some muddy, crappy, not just, about as ugly of a weather as you can get. But I thought what Calvary was able to do last week against Jules Sumner was really impressive. To hold them to hold that type of team that's just 7 points. I know Sumner had their chances. But I said at the start of the playoffs, we did a segment on the high school spotlight, and they were like, well, just tell us, your teams you're watching this year. I said, don't be surprised if Calvary makes a run back to the Dome. And so, I said it at the start of the playoffs. I've said that I think Calvary will make a run to the Dome. And look at this, they're 1 game away. So, Jace, if you think I'm going to pick Notre Dame here, you're dead wrong. I'm going to pick Calvary here. I think this run is going to continue on. I think Coach Rodney is either tied or 1 win away from being the most winningest coach in the Shreveport-Bossier area.
Yep.
I think he's right now behind the great Lee Hedges, who obviously has a stadium named after him up there. So I imagine it won't be long before we get Coach Rodney's name on a stadium somewhere. But yeah, give me Calvary. I think it's going to be good. It's grass field, semifinal football, and I can't wait to see what happens with this one.
Yeah, 2 coaching greats there. Hayden, obviously, we talk about Notre Dame, Calvary. These are 2 programs I expect to be here at this point in the semifinals and making a run. So we got Calvary Baptist and Notre Dame. What you got here, Hayden? You got Notre Dame. I know you're you're close to Notre Dame as well, seeing their program. Joaquin Bourgeois has been doing a great job running the rock for them this year in Calvary. They got so many weapons. Braylon Hugon being another great wide receiver for Calvary. But yeah, what you have here, especially what Calvary was able to show against Sumner last week.
Yeah, I think going into the season, Spencer might have been the first person I've ever heard to say that they had Calvary or Notre Dame at this point in the season to be where they're at. Just because of what they lost. Like last year, Notre Dame graduating a very large and very good and successful senior class, and then Calvary, probably one of their most talented classes they've ever had. I mean, for them to be here right now is a big deal, I think, in the way that they've progressed with a lot of new starters this year. And going to Notre Dame first, I mean, they've had such a hard road to get here already. De La Salle, not a normal 18 seed. I think everyone in our bracket thought, like, we didn't want them in the 16 and 17 because we don't want to have to deal with them in the second round. So, like, all that kind of stuff. De La Salle, then a rematch with Lafayette Renaissance, a very good team in the area, has 900 students on campus right now, and district rival as well. And then now you get Calvary Baptist. So, I mean, there's no breaks right now for Notre Dame. Their quarterback, Drew Lejeune, has come back in round 2. He played. He's still been limited. Him running the ball has been his biggest weakness right now, which was a big strength of his before. But he just doesn't have that burst that he normally has. And then you go to Calvary, and they've been just fantastic all year long at getting better every week. It feels like the Franklin Parish win, massive win over a really, really good team. Neville, that was just always going to be a tough game for them this year. And then they just kind of just kept trucking along all year long. Man, I think that the home field has a big deal in this game. Notre Dame playing at Crowley Stadium, just knows how to win in these moments. And if it gets dirty, if it gets muddy, rainy, or anything like that on the field, which it becomes a mud bowl over there if it's wet. So I'm gonna take Notre Dame in this one.
So we got Spencer with Calvary. We got Hayden, Notre Dame. Marshall, who you leaning towards?
I am picking the Cavaliers. I've saw the person this season, and I saw enough. I've been super high on them ever since seeing what they were on defense and what they've replaced. They've replaced seniors with sophomores. Those sophomores have really stepped up. I again, just what their defense can do, that they can have that kind of night. And their offense is multiple, and they got a great coach. I think the Cavaliers upset the Pios and go to the Dome, back to the Dome.
I'm going to be the third to say Calvary Baptist. I'm going to go with Calvary Baptist here as well, because what changed my opinion on them was the Joe Sumner game. Winning that game 14-7 to win ugly like that, I think that showed me a whole lot that they can win a game like that against Notre Dame. And I think that was really encouraging for them to win that game. And maybe I was a year, no matter, I guess, how you look at it, a year too late or year too early on Calvary, because a lot of expectations with that loaded team, James Simon, Abram Wardell, that team last year. And I think there was a lot of pressure on that team to get to the Dome. And this year, maybe flying under the radar a little bit, because you graduate all those guys and replace all those guys. And so I think it's less pressure on them. So I'm going to go with Calvary Baptist. I think they're going to pull it off again. I think what Spencer mentioned, I think, is a good time to get that record, right? With Lee Hedges. So it's a good time to do it in the semifinals to get to the Superdome. So give me Calvary Baptist. It's hard to go against Louis. I tell you that. It's really hard to go against Louis.
It's hard to go against Lee Doty, too. But
yeah, it's hard to go against Lee Doty, too. I mean, these are really, good coaches. Spatafora, it's hard to go against him too. But that you got a lot of great coaches. It's kind of the point.
A really interesting thing for this game is I said it last night on UTL. Joaquin Bourgeois for Notre Dame has scored on the first play of the game 6 times this year.
How about that? How about that? So
So
watch out for
hopefully
the first play of the
Calvary
game.
Hopefully Calvary is locked in on that first play.
Yeah, right.
Look, Coach Cook probably doesn't even like first quarter scoring. Man, give me a 3-0 game. Quit doing all this flash.
Right. Exactly right. But man, these are 4 great teams. We talk about LCA, Dunham, Calvary Baptist, Notre Dame. So Division III Select has always been a fun one. So Plaquemine fans have been waiting patiently. So we're going to get to it, but we got a commercial break to go to.
Oh,
and then we'll talk about
we want Plaquemine now.
we got to keep them wanting more. So we're going to take one commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk about that North DeSoto Plaquemine game here on Ballin the Boot.
Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
All right, now they're trying to get everybody back on. Here we go. And Plaquemine fans, it's your time. We're finally going to talk about Division II non-select. So it's that time, and I know they've been waiting patiently, so I appreciate your patience. But we're finally going to talk about that game. Get the Plaquemine fans getting commenting in the comment section. Here we go. Plaquemine, they got their revenge last week. We know, Spencer. We know about that. Last week, the whole comment section, we knew the revenge was coming. And Plaquemine was able to get their revenge against Cecilia after losing to them in the semis last week. They take care of business 47-28, but it just gets tougher and tougher. They got the number 1 seed, North DeSoto Griffins, and Luke Delafield, Kenny Thomas. We talk about Dennis Dunn, too. They've been scoring some points. They've been really electrifying all year on offense, and they defeat an electric Franklinton team with Jacob Crane at quarterback as well. So now North DeSoto, Plaquemine, man, there are going to be a lot of matchups to talk about that game. And then you look at the bomb side of Division II non-select. We have Iowa having an undefeated season. They took care of business 28-21 against Letcher. And they are still undefeated, still rolling right now as the number 2 seed. But can they get past a stingy Bell Chase defense that has been really hard to score against the entire season long? So we're going to talk about these four teams, and that's to be about Division II non-select. You get a lot of teams that are trying to get that taste, that first taste in their mouth of a state championship. So that's what makes Division II non-select really intriguing. But we have to go to that first game, guys. It's the moment of truth. We're talking about this game. North DeSoto, we have a really great quarterback, Luke Delafield. You talk about Plaquemine, Roger Bingham on the defensive backs, the secondary. This is a really good back end of that defense against Plaquemine that can match up with that passing game in North DeSoto. They got a lot of really good athletes to contend with North DeSoto, but their offense has been humming all year, and they've really played like top 4, top 5 team in the state when they're at their best. So, Spencer, I know we're still getting those comments right now flying in. Can Plaquemine continue this run? Can they get to the Superdome? They're trying to get to the Superdome for the first time. Or is it North DeSoto? Is it Dennis Dunn and company?
Well, actually, Plaquemine made the Superdome in 1961. I don't even know if it was played in the Superdome, but they've made the state championship before.
State championship game. Yeah, then with the dome.
So, this would be their second state championship game. Yeah. Fun fact, they lost to Tallulah. I said that wrong. But they lost to them in 1961. This game could be a shootout. I mean, Plaquemines putting up numbers like you wouldn't believe. North DeSoto is putting up numbers and also giving up numbers like you wouldn't believe. I don't think a lot of people expected Franklinton to put up that much on North DeSoto last week. I know the Plaquemine fans, they've been great all throughout our shows. It started when they were playing against Wasp, and they're like, Wasp's not going to do anything against us. And I was like, well, you're not going to get your Cecilia rematch. And then they get the Cecilia rematch. It's like, all right, they get the Cecilia rematch. They handle business like that. This is going to be a fun one. I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. I think people right now maybe pick North DeSoto by 1 or 2 scores. I think it could honestly be 1 score. I'm sorry, Plaquemine fans, but I'm gonna go North DeSoto here. I think that that story for Luke Delafield rolls on, and they get to the Dome. But last year we saw a team that hadn't been in a state championship game since 1960 something. Win it with Central. Maybe another Baton Rouge area team will do it this year. It's not looking good for a lot of the Baton Rouge area teams. I don't think many people have picked them to make it to the Dome. So I might have to go in the archives.
They're all on the road. Yeah.
Well, they're all on the road. So I might have to go in the archives and figure out when the last time we didn't have any Baton Rouge teams in the championship. But hopefully at least one of them can make it there.
CJ says, "Don't worry, Spencer. It's okay, Spencer. You're good,
Thanks,
bro.
CJ.
All love. Good to see Michael as well.
Coach O's gonna laugh at me in the Dome if Plaquemine gets there, man. He's gonna be wearing his Green Devils pride whenever on that day if Plaquemine's playing in the Dome.
Oh yeah. I see Spencer. See Spencer Collins, a running back. It looks like we have a prediction here about running for 233 yards. So we'll see. We'll see if that covers. Spencer going for 233 yards tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, we got a lot of predictions right here. Hayden, North DeSoto, Plaquemine. I mean, Dennis Dunn. Usually he gets a quarterback and they're rolling, and you got Luke Delafield. They're trying to get to the Superdome. Remember, Luke was a freshman when they played Lutcher, Lunch Winfield, and those guys at Lutcher, and now he's trying to book in his career with a state championship trophy. But Plaquemine, this is a really great shot for the Green Devils to make the Dome. This could go either way.
Yeah, I've been saying it all year. Dennis Dunn has kind of created the offensive onslaught that is the Shreveport area. He's been the architect of that. Every team saw what he did at Evangel and started replicating it. The air raid and just offense out the wazoo for everyone in the area. And he's taking that now to North DeSoto, and they're just putting up points because their quarterback is so good in Luke Delafield. He's one of 8 players in Louisiana history to have 10,000 passing yards.
Yeah.
Like that's such a big feat to have. And then a senior who's been there in the Dome and felt what it's like to lose it. 3 years ago as a freshman, even is incredible. And then Plaquemine, probably the team in all of these brackets that I've seen the least of. I try and watch, during the season, it's like 20 to 30 games a week I'll watch. But like Plaquemine, I just haven't seen them a lot this year other than highlights. But man, they have just steadily just taken care of their business everywhere. Ever since week 1 at Zachary, had hiccup there, and then just kind of had a great year ever since that, kind of under the radar for a lot of people. Just because that district is so big, it felt like they weren't going outside to other games around the state for other people to see. But man, North DeSoto, I've been high on them all year. I want them to win their first state championship with Luke Delafield because I want him to go out with one for whatever reason. I just really enjoy watching the kid play. And so I'm going to go North DeSoto.
Yeah, it could be that storybook ending, but Plaquemine wants something to say about that. Marshall, what do you have here? You have Plaquemine. They have to go and make the drive to Stonewall as well, as North DeSoto is the host team as number 1 seed. But Plaquemine has to go through Delafield in an offense to get there.
Yeah, North DeSoto, a huge home environment. Y'all know about it. They had some big home games in the regular season. They also in a tough district with Northwood and Loyola, able to take those matchups late in the season. Having seen them in person over the past few years, having gotten familiar with Dennis Dunn and Luke Delafield, and Kenny Thomas and Braylon Layton and Brentley Linson and everybody on their defense that goes without a ton of recognition because of how good their offense is. They're a 1 seed for a reason. I said last night that this season has a chance to be the culmination of this project, this Delafield era at North DeSoto. Griffins versus Green Devils, fantastic matchup of mascots. I'm taking North DeSoto, the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Plaquemine fans. I mean, they want it. They really do. And my dad was assistant coach for the Plaquemine Green Devils all those years with Coach Trosclair, and was the interim coach as well. But they've had a tough bracket in those years. They those teams about with Wayne Tucson and and all those Devon Gottschall and all those great teams. They had a tough bracket. They had to play the Nevils of the world, the Warren Eastons when the Warren Eastons were clicking in the car, was clicking as well. McDonald 35, Karen Kerr, all those teams then. But it's still tough. You got to go through North DeSoto. You got to go through Dennis Dunn. Plaquemine, they got a lot of weapons. We talk about it. John Walker was a great wide receiver for him. Roger Bingham going to play for the Raging Cajuns, a great defensive back for the Plaquemine Green Devils. They got a really talented quarterback in Brendan Miles as well. They got a lot of great athletes, and I think athletically they can match up with North DeSoto. But, I mean, it just kind of sets itself up, right? I mean, Luke Delafield, senior year, 10,000 yards passing. He started his career in the Dome. They lost. He's trying to finish it in the Dome and trying to get that win. Sorry, Green Devil fans. Looks like it's going to be a clean sweep here on the show. Looks like it's going to be North DeSoto moving on and playing in the championship game. So, hey, use this as motivation.
Prove us wrong.
You prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. Everybody says they're doubting Plaquemine. So, yep, add fuel to the fire. So
I will say one thing about Plaquemine that's interesting. They start their district in week 3 and they play it the rest of the year. I don't know many other, like maybe the Acadiana area district might have that, but like
1A does that. Haynesville.
They need to break some of these districts up. Like I know the redistricting thing has already happened, and I think they did break it up a little bit. But yeah, some of these districts you should have like maybe like 4 weeks of non-district and then like 6 weeks of district. That would be like the ideal number. But I know there's a lot more that goes into it. And I haven't been able to sit there and mull over all the new districts yet. The only thing I know is that we're getting a Lutcher St. James district next year. So
yes, we have 7 teams in our district. It's a loaded district. I know that. And yeah, we will see tomorrow. That's why you don't play the games on paper. You got to play and kick the ball off and play the football game. So we're going to find out for sure. But that should be a great match between the Green Devils and the Griffins. Like Marshall said, 2 of the best mascot names out there in Louisiana. Now we'll go to the bottom side of the bracket. Iowa and Belle Chase. Iowa has been a really good story this year, going undefeated, having the run that they've had this season. And we talk about Belle Chase. Really, their defense has been really tough to score against. And it seems like you get to 20 points, you've got a good shot. But it's been hard to really score against the Belle Chase team. And Iowa, you look at their playoff run right here under Coach Tommy Johns. You get 28-21 win over Lutcher. They beat Northwest by 40 points, 68-28. And Iowa beat a good Lutcher team that is coming off a huge win against Franklin Parish. So you look at that, then you got Belle Chase and what they've been able to do. They won a 7-6 game early in this playoff game. That's crazy against Opelousas and winning that football game. But their defense has been carrying them to this point. Iowa is a very balanced team. We talk about complementary football. They got a lot of really good, talented players that are really good. I mean, you got 2 good running backs that have been leading the way. They can throw the football when they need to, play defense when they need to. There's a reason why they're undefeated right now. But can Belle Chase spoil that? Can they spoil Iowa and prevent them from going to the Dome?
Well, I spoiled it at the start of the thing that the Iowa fans were letting me hear it since I picked against them last week.
Yep.
I think we a lot of these pick'em shows. We look at the college game days of the world, and one thing is you go back and you can watch this little I say like a mini documentary they did on Lee Corso, and all his picks because obviously he has the biggest pick of all. There were some coaches that were like, I hate when he picked us because every time he picked us, we lost. And I think that Iowa fans are gonna like this one, but I'm gonna go Bell Chase.
Oh, okay.
Chase, they play some really good defense. And you know what they say? The saying is defense wins championships. Now, defense does not win you district championships. It wins you state championships. I can't say district defense wins you district championships because we have some districts, especially around where I live, that decided not to play defense this year. So we're taking out that part of it. We're putting it as now you have to play, in the playoffs, defense. And then one other note, I know we just talked about Plaquemine, but I did just check the thing. There's still 8 teams in their district next year. So that means 7 weeks of the season you've got to play
district teams.
Got to play not or district football. So there you go. That's I'm going Bell Chase. I think on the road. I know they're very we say one dimensional, but I know what they do on offense is like not as worrisome about what they do on defense. I think they can do a lot on defense to slow Iowa down. Give me the Cardinals to go back to the Dome. Last time they went, 2008.
Yeah.
Had a quarterback with the last name Mathern.
Yeah, they sure did. They sure did. Yep, they sure did. Hayden, we have Iowa. They're still one of the few undefeated teams still chugging along and still in this thing. And Iowa's been under Coach Johns, they've been close, quarterfinals, semifinals. They're another team. It's been constant theme trying to overcome that hurdle, trying to get and break down that door.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Bell Chase first. Bell Chase's defense has just been incredible all year long. They've only given up 67 total points the entire year.
No.
Man, Spencer's really gonna hate whenever we talk about Vanderbilt and Shaw.
Oh yeah.
But no, they've only given up 67 points total in the entire year, and they're playing in the semifinals. So I mean, they've played 12 games so far, and only 67 points is incredible. And then you mentioned the 7-6 game earlier, the 6-7 game. If you really want to keep going with it,
let's keep it
going. They were missing their quarterback. Ambrose was out for that game. So you would expect if they were healthy, they would have had a much better showing offensively for that game because they want to run the ball. They want to run a read option all night long. And then you go to Iowa, and they've just been fantastic. Bushnell over there has been fantastic. Caston Lewis, who won the UTL Player of the Game earlier in this year. I mean, they've just been lights out, it feels like, all year long. And I heard a lot of people say earlier in the year, oh, well, they didn't play anybody, or, oh, they're not playing the top competition. But they're doing exactly what a good team would do against a lesser team. They handle their business and just move on to the next one, I'm going to go Iowa. Home field advantage, I think, is going to be real on Friday for them. That town, that's what they care about over there. All of Suella knows that, hey, Iowa's their shot right now, for Suella to go to the Dome right now. So, I'm going Iowa.
All right, so we have Spencer picking Bell Chase. We have Hayden picking Iowa. Marshall, who you have here?
I have Bell Chase because of that defense. I mean, it's like some of those Alabama teams in the Saban years where you're trying to figure out who those matchups were. And it's like, look how high their defensive rating. Like, that's not going to lose. And I think that's going to be the case. I think Bell Chase defense is going to have another 2025 night.
Yeah, I'm actually going with Iowa here. I've been really high on Iowa this year. We talked about it. Bushnell's a great player. We talk about the player of the week for Gridiron Football last week. He's actually one of the nominees this past week, Casey Lewis. I mean, he had like 3 touchdowns last week and interception to seal the deal. He was incredible last week. But they have a lot of guys that can make plays for them, and you need that. When you're on the field, you got to find different ways to win. And Iowa has done that this year. And this is a part where we talk about his teams, and we talk about Coach John's teams. They've been really close the last couple of years, quarterfinals, semifinals. I think is kind of the point for them to finally get the job done, go to the Superdome, and they've been kind of poised. Their defense has been really great this year as well. I mean, they're a complimentary football team, and that's why, regardless of who they've been playing, you got to give them credit for winning those games and being those teams that you're supposed to beat. So. Their defense is really playing really solid right now. Offense is doing really good as well. So they're playing complimentary football right now, and that's why they've been so good. So give me Iowa to go to the Superdome. So potentially number 1 versus number 2, but we'll see what Bell, Chase, and Plaquemine has to say about that. So that is Division II non-select. We're going to go to Division II select. And we'll talk about St. Charles Catholic and U High. That is the first matchup. St. Charles Catholic. Just forget about what happened last year. I mean, they're back. They're St. Charles Catholic. They're back. They're playing combat football under Coach Wayne Stein. This is a rematch from the semifinal game 2 years ago. U High, and it was a classic. St. Charles Catholic U High went to overtime. St. Charles Catholic won that football game. U High, the Lamar Browns of the world, they're trying to end their senior season with a win to go to the state championship. St. Charles Catholic been really, really dominant a lot of times this year. They've done a great job of shutting down Elijah Haven. We talk about Dunham. St. Charles Catholic did a great job of confusing Haven in that football game, and U High coming off an emotional 32-30 win against Madison Prep. Definitely a lot more higher scoring than the game I called when it was only 14-8. A lot more high scoring in that football game. But U High being a really good team twice in Madison Prep, and a little bit of a revenge tour for them as well after obviously not making the playoffs last year. And you look at the bottom side of the bracket, Vanderbilt Catholic still hanging around there. Yep, that's right. 6-7. 6-7. All right, people are going to try to kill us after this tonight.
Jace.
I'm glad everybody's asleep in my house. Otherwise,
But Archbishop Shaw, I mean, the defending state champions, they made a statement last week. I know the quarterback of Loyola College Prep, Bryce Resovich, didn't play, but still, he went on the road and got a big win, 38-7. Vanderbilt Catholic able to edge out Lake Charles Prep in a close one, 31-28. So those are your final 4. We'll talk about that first game, St. Charles Catholic, U High. St. Charles Catholic, we know Wayne Stein, when they've gone to this point, he knows what it takes to bring them to the state championship games and winning state championships. U High, they're trying to win for the first time. The last time they played in the state championship game, it wasn't even at the Superdome. It was played, I believe, at UL in that state championship game against E.D. White. But U High does remember that semifinal game 2 years ago. St. Charles Catholic trying to get back to the Dome. Something's got to give here, Spencer. Who you have?
Well, the thing is, not every 1 seed can be in the Dome. If every 1 seed made it to the Dome, it would be boring. Well, we would say we have some really good 1 seeds in this, but it'd also be really boring if I picked all the 1 seeds. I think St. Charles Catholic has really improved from last year. But when the brackets came out, I went there and I said, all right, who do I think is going to win every single one? I had Madison Prep winning it all. Sadly, they lost last week, so that pick is thrown out the window.
I got that one right.
They say,
I got right.
They say, yeah. Go ahead, Jace. I haven't been tooting my horn the whole time, but if you want to go back through it, we can go through all the. No, we're not going to do it. The bottom of the bracket.
The ones I got right. I mean,
the bottom of the bracket was a very good win for me. So we'll talk about that here shortly. But yeah, I think U High, what they did last week, they forced a lot of turnovers. They won against a good Madison Prep squad. There's just something about this team for U High this year. When the going gets tough, they get going. So I think right now, I'm gonna go with a Lawson Dixon touchdown late, and the Cubs advance to the state championship game. I will say though, these two teams know each other pretty well. They play each other in the Jamboree every year, so there's a lot of familiarity there. But yeah, give me the Cubs.
Spencer's got the Cubs to move on to the state championship game. Hayden, St. Charles Catholic, U High. Two teams that we said coming in the bracket. We kind of figured this could be a good chance to see both these two teams play at this point. But you have St. Charles Catholic only one loss on the year, and it was kind of that fluke play at the end with a jump ball tip pass from St. James, Villanova making the play in the end zone. But St. Charles Catholic, Wayne Stein, or are you going with Andy Martin, U High?
Yeah, I think I said it last night. I think Wayne Stein probably has the best winning percentage as a coach. At St. Charles, at their current school. If you had to break it down, I mean, 2021 he takes over and wins a state championship, and then he's just been great every year. Last year, even a down year, still making some wins and stuff. But man, this ULAB team's on a mission. I mean, it feels like they're so mad about last year, and they just want it so bad. And Madison Prep, really, really good team. And I mean, they forced 5 turnovers and sealed the game on a turnover. Man, I think, and then St. Charles, you go back to St. Charles, they forced turnovers like crazy too. They beat Dunham off of 2 pick sixes. So like this is going to be a game of what offense can keep the ball away from the other defense. Essentially, normally you hear about offense keep the ball off of the other offense, but you cannot turn the ball over in this game. I'm gonna take ULAB though.
Oh, we got 2 for U High. We got 2 for Spencer and Hayden. Marshall, are you on the Cub train here? Or we still got St. Charles Catholic as well?
Yeah, I mean this is one of the 3 toughest games to pick out of all of them tonight.
Yeah.
I think that St. Charles' regular season schedule, just so many quality wins, and then that one quality loss that we've discussed. I think that they have the resume and the body of work this year to somehow find a way to hold serve at home and win. I've been curious about how U High's playoff run would go just because of the way last year's ended. Like, what do you take from that? What do you learn? What do you say? Okay, because you didn't lose, you just were eliminated.
Right.
So, and I did think that Lamar Brown would have to be impactful last week against Madison Prep, and he was. But I think the Comets hold serve at home.
Yeah, you're not going to be by yourself, Marshall. I got St. Charles Catholic as well. I'm only with the number 1 seed here. When we talk about St. Charles Catholic, U High. U High's had a tough schedule as well. I know that I was at one of their losses this year. It was against Catholic. They lost to Rumble in the Dome. I know Cooper's doing a good job because I know he plays for the Cubs, so he's trying to make sure he gets a quality resume going. I feel like it's a college football playoff resume he's trying to build. Also beat a quality St. Paul's, Madison Prep twice, but he mentioned it's a tough schedule that St. Charles Catholic has played as well. They played Dunham, they played Lutcher, they played Newman, they played De La Salle, they played St. James,
Bell Chase, Shaw,
Terrebonne. Lake, I mean, yeah, you look at it, Shaw, Edie White. Yeah, and the thing about St. Charles Catholic is, like, you might be the more talented team, but you're just going to have to beat them because they're not going to beat themselves. Wayne Stein's probably the one of, most respected coaches out there in terms of his team being disciplined, being the right gaps, being in the right place at the right time, and you're just going to have to beat them. Like, if you just go out and beat them, he's going to be the first one to shake your hand and say, congratulations, you beat us tonight. But you're going to have to beat them because they're not going to beat themselves, and I think I trust that style of play. So give me St. Charles Catholic at home to go to the Dome. So, but should be an awesome game of St. Charles Catholic and U High. So that is the top matchup, we go to the bottom matchup, Vanderbilt Catholic, Archbishop Shaw. Archbishop Shaw, Hank Tierney, they lost a lot of guys offensively last year when they won the state championship, but this is still Hank Tierney. This is still the defending state champions. And you don't know what kind of Shaw team you're going to get. I mean, we've seen when they've been really good this year. You've seen when they've been really bad this year. It's been kind of a hot and cold team, but here they are in the semifinals, have a chance to go to the Superdome. And Vanderbilt Catholic, this is an opportunity for Vanderbilt Catholic, I feel like, because, it's always like they've struggled trying to beat E.D. White, trying to win that big game, like Vanderbilt Catholic's being the teams that they're supposed to beat. And now this is a big opportunity if they can go and beat Shaw. So they got a big win last week in overtime against Lake Charles Prep. But yeah, we got Shaw, Vanderbilt Catholic. Shaw has a chance to repeat as state champions. Who you have here, Spencer?
Well, before we get into this game, I just want to say both of these games last week, Vanderbilt Catholic, Lake Charles College Prep. Jace picked Lake Charles College Prep. I picked Vanderbilt Catholic. And then Shaw Loyola. Jace picked Loyola. I picked Shaw. So that's an easy 2-0 swing right there for me.
Super impressive.
So you see, Jace didn't want the 6-7 matchup, but tonight he's all about the 6-7 matchup.
Oh, yeah, I'm all about it now.
Just know that sometimes people change. But, this is actually going to be where I'll be at tomorrow night. I'll have my rain boots on. Probably bring the canoe out to try to get down there. It's down on the bayou. With the amount of rain that we've had come through here, I'm a little worried about the roads, but I'm sure they'll be fine. It's Hank Tierney. It's Shaw. They're back in this moment. I was listening to some of the interviews that the Vanderbilt Catholic players had today. I think that the fact that, how much of Shaw lost from last year, you talk a lot about defending champs. It's not the same Shaw team that it was last year.
Yeah.
Last year's Shaw team, man, you run through a brick wall for that team. This year's team has certainly had their ups and downs. I think if you catch them at the wrong time, they can be very dominant, and they can also be offense can't seem to score a point. But I think they kind of figured out recently. So I'm gonna go with Shaw to advance back to the Dome. Hank Tierney, you mentioned it. He's a great coach. Him coming back to Shaw has been a huge part of their success, and I think the success continues. And JB, your sports guy, will have a good Friday night and enjoy himself with the Shaw victory.
He's gonna be really excited. I know, to try to get his Shaw Eagles back in the Dome for sure. Hayden, what you have here, man? I mean, like Spencer mentioned, because I'm so gracious, just getting make sure his ego is at an all-time high. That's why I'm just trying to be a good friend. But you have Vanderbilt Catholic and Shaw right here. Can Vanderbilt Catholic do it? Like Spencer mentioned, this has been a hot and cold Shaw team this year.
Yeah, and I think VK said it on their show last night that this is a historically, Shaw has dominated this matchup historically between these two teams. These are two teams that I've actually seen a lot of because LCA has played both of these. We played Vanderbilt in the Jamboree, and then we played Shaw in week 4, which we don't talk about very much.
Let's not talk about that one.
For Vanderbilt, it everything runs through Ethan Haney, their quarterback. He's a senior, and he is so good. If you watch that Lake Charles College Prep game, it felt like he didn't make a step wrong at any point in the game. Anyone who was even had a semblance of being open, he was hitting him in stride for a touchdown, is what it felt like every time I watched him. And then you go to Shaw, and it's the defense, especially the defensive backs. Rontre Carter, Jackson Williams, and Christian Langford, especially those three. I mean, they just have been lights out all year long. And I know we talked about, Shaw lost a lot from last year. Offensively, they only lost 4 players off of their starting lineup. They returned 4 of their 5 linemen, but they lose their quarterback, they lose their wide receiver and running back, all Division I guys, who was the big engine of that offense. And so they move a cornerback over Alan Shaw to quarterback. And, I mean, he's just still getting used to it. He's a junior still, first time playing offense in this system right now at Shaw. But I think that defense has enough to hold off Vanderbilt enough. So if they can get 2 scores or something, that might be enough. A 14-point win, like 14 points, might win you the game in this game for Vanderbilt, for Archbishop Shaw against Vanderbilt. I'm going Shaw. Make my loss look better.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you want, to make that LCA loss look a lot better. But that was probably the most impressive performance they've had this year for sure. But Marshall, you have the defending state champs moving on?
I do not, and it's because of some things that Hayden just alluded to. Is 14 points winning you a game. Vanderbilt beat Lutcher 14-3 in the regular season, and I'm high on Lutcher. But overall, I think that Vanderbilt's just been more consistent this year with knowing what you're going to get out of them. They won games in the 40s and 50s. They won games in the teens, but consistently just being able to be in control of games has been huge. Of course, I like the win last week compared to Shaw's win, which is, kind of an understaffed Loyola Prep Flyer team. And Shaw's just been super inconsistent. I think Jordy mentioned last night, 1977 to 2025 for a game like this at Vanderbilt Catholic. So I think that's it's kind of similar to Erath and Union in the second round, a team that is having an exemplary season for what you're used to, and then a defending champ marching right in and saying, "Look, we're not scared of whatever this home environment's going to be." So we'll see how it goes, but I do think Vanderbilt figures out a way to win this one.
I'm going to go with Shaw here, just because it's, even though it's not exactly the team last year, for sure, but this is a team that's still, you're experienced it. You're on the sidelines. You're used to these playoff runs from last year. Coach Tierney leading the way. It's hard to go against him at this time of year. And they play some good Ethan Haynes is a really good quarterback and really underrated. Really needs to be talked about a whole lot more. But be honest with you, Shaw's done a really good job against some of the top quarterbacks in the state. I mean, we talk about Braylon Walker. I know Hayden doesn't want to talk much about that game, but it's Juwan Jackson as well. They defeated St. James, that high-powered St. James offense as well, only giving up 20 points to them. So I really trust Shaw's defense and just getting enough from their offense to get it done. It should be a low-scoring game, like a 20-14 type of game, 17-10. But I'm going to go with Shaw to get the win and go to the state championship. So Division II select, we'll see what happens there. And we got one more commercial break, fellas, in their home stretch. But we got Division I coming up. The big boys. Time to talk about the big boys in 5A and 4A. But we'll be right back. We'll reach our final commercial break here on Ballin' the Boot.
Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, guys. Trying to get everybody back in on the stage here. Well, we have one more classification. We're going to go through Division I. The big boys, Darren Coates. Good to see Mr. Darren. I know his son Colin played in a Gridiron Football Bowl game a couple years ago. Good to hear from him. So let's get to the big boys. We're at the big boys. Let's talk about Division I non-select when we add the bracket back to it. All right, here we go. Division I non-select. I think we've seen this matchup a time or two. In the top side of the bracket, Rustin and Zachary. 3 straight wins in the playoffs, though, from Ruston. So Ruston having really the edge here in the last couple of years. Can they do that again at home against David Brereton and company? And then you go to the bottom side of the bracket, Washita and Neville. I believe it was a 1-point game earlier this year, won by Neville. So you get the rematch right here. Washita has been a Cinderella team on this run. They've been really red hot. Neville is looking really strong as well. So really interested to get your opinion about these two games, your Final Four and Division I non-select. Basically, 2-5A versus Zachary. Zachary is us against the world mentality, us against North Louisiana mentality here. So let's talk about that first game, fellas. Ruston, Zachary, like I mentioned, they faced off against each other a lot of times in the playoffs. In fact, they played against each other in the state championship game. That was the first state championship win for Ruston since 1990, I believe. But they're able to really get that win. But classic matchup. These are really over the last couple of years, the last decade. And talk about Division I non-select. These have been really the two powerhouse teams. Ruston, Zachary. Kind of like we talk about Union Parish, not exactly the type of regular season we usually see from Zachary, but Ruston, they have a lot of motivation after what happened in the state championship game against Central last year. So in order to get there, they got to play against another Baton Rouge team in Zachary. So Spencer, who you have here? You got the number 1 seed rolling, or you have David Brereton and company pulling off again?
Well, I think Zachary's been playing some really good football last week. This is the last time I get to toot my horn, so I'm going to take it. I did pick Zachary last week to win. I just felt like they were doing the right things at the right time, and I think they've just, it's kind of like Brereton's kind of getting close to that. Whenever he makes it into the playoffs, no matter what seed it is, you really don't go against them. Mm-hmm. Last year didn't go their way when they went up to Ruston. A lot of those guys are back, or at least we're on the sidelines for that. I imagine left a sour taste in your mouth if you're a Bronco fan that night. So, it was funny. He was on, the morning drive this morning. He said, is Ahmad Hudson, is he on his 5th year senior? I feel like we've been hearing about this kid for forever. I was like, hey, coach, don't forget you had Trades Green. Which those two, they mirror each other so much in what they do. So this is going to be a fun one. I think the key for Ruston is got to be, you got to slow down that rushing attack. Those two guys they got in the backfield, they can make things go for them. Michael Kirby has been doing a lot of good things for a quarterback that kind of stepped into the spotlight this year. But I think even with Ruston kind of, obviously they lost Dalen Powell at the start of playoffs. Yeah. I think they've still got enough firepower to get it done. I like the Bearcats in a close one, 35-32 type of game.
It should be a great one, that's for sure. So Hayden, you have Ruston winning 4 in a row against Big Z.
Yeah, it's such a hard game to pick for me because it's so hard to ever pick against Coach Brereton in the playoffs. But it feels like Ruston. I'm just looking at this bracket. And it feels like it's like they're running the South Louisiana. Hey, come up here, get some smoke, and you can go back kind of thing right now. Westgate goes up there, and then Southside goes up there, and now Zachary goes up there. So it's just funny to see that. And man, without Dalen Powell, Ruston, I was expecting a drop off, honestly, because he's so good. He's a sophomore, but he's so good. And it just felt like Hartwell kind of just was like, okay, I can be the feature of this backfield. And then Marshall has some more info on the running backs that's kind of stepped up in that scenario, but it just felt like they were all ready to go whenever it happened. And that's just a testament to Coach Ball and that staff that they have over there at Ruston. They do a fantastic job every year, and it's the reason that Ruston has come back like it is. Plenty of people in the 90s remember Ruston being great and stuff like that. I wasn't born, but I've been told about it. But everyone always talks about that and wanting to get back, and it feels like Coach Ball has done that now. I feel like they're solidly back now. He could say that for the last 2 years at least. I'm gonna go Ruston here, playing over there. That's a tough place to play. You go to the stadium and the field goes down. That's not normal for a lot of our South teams down here. fields don't go down over here, else you're hitting water. So
Yep.
it's an electric atmosphere. They have the student section right at the end zone, on the home side and stuff like that. It's a great place. I'm gonna go Ruston.
So we got 2 for Ruston, Marshall. I mean, it's been kind of like Ruston's had Zachary's number. The last couple of years. So do you have to continue that trend?
I do, and just being as close to I lived in Ruston for 6 years, and have a lot of people that program that I'm close to, and during this run, of dome trips, there just hasn't been a drop off in the overall perception of how good they are. It doesn't always look the same. The strength of the groups, change a little bit. Of course, we saw that highlight from Hudson when he was a freshman, and it's been ever since then. But just they're just as good as they've been during this entire stretch. So I do think they get another win in the semis.
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's hard to go against David Brereton, and I made the mistake of doing that last week when I picked Central. But that was going to go. I knew I was going to go either way, and it did. Zachary won the game, but it was a toss up. Zachary had to sweat that one out. But you look at Ruston. We talk about replacing Damon Powell and how they haven't really missed a beat, but also the ability, what they've shown, and in some of the years when Jared Ball was trying to get this program really to the mountaintop, to the very top, it was like, well, if you can shut down the running game, you got them, but now you got a guy like Ahmad Hudson you can throw the football up to. Like there's not a lot of defensive backs across the country that can defend him. So and they can throw the football. That extra dimension has really helped Ruston be able to be a top contender here. And we talked about it last year. It was a tough way to lose, against Central. It almost felt like that they didn't really show up. They just showed up in the game like, oh, we've got the practice and got how to play. I know that that's making this team a more focused team. And this is going to be an opportunity at home against Zachary. To get the job done, and I think they do pull it off. They had to play against some teams that were trying to get revenge. Westgate, early in the playoffs. Southside they had to overcome some adversity. Southside was winning that football game and they come back. So and I think the battle-tested Ruston team is going to make this team a little bit tougher. So give me Jared Ball, give me the Ruston Bearcats to get number 4 in a row against Zachary. But these have been really the 2 top teams in Division I non-select over the last couple of years. Now let's go to the bottom side of the bracket. This should be a fun one between Ouachita and Neville. You talk about Neville. They've been really good under Coach Collins this year, and the last couple of years, like they haven't really liked that number 2 seed, that getting that bye for sure the last couple of years, but they've been just really good this year. You talk about a couple losses, but that 2-5A district, you're seeing how good that district is right now with 3 teams of the 4 still in. But we talk about that game. Ouachita is a lot. We knew coming in, Spencer talked about a whole lot. They are a much better team than their record may indicate because they lost a lot of close games to the West Monroes, the Nevilles of the world, the Ashes of the world, and Rustons. So, and it was a 1-point game, and Ouachita is playing like one of the hottest teams in the state of Louisiana right now. It was 38-37 last time these 2 teams played. So it's hard. We talk about a lot. Hard to be a good team twice. But can Neville do it, considering that the difference in the regular season matchup was only 1 point?
Well, I think the people, I saw some Facebook posts this morning that some people were already in line and braving the weather up there. It might have only been one guy in a green jacket and a green hat with Aaron Dietrich, but he's in line and he's ready for this one, and I'm fired up about this one as well. I think Neville's been playing a different level of ball recently. Last week against Bar just completely shut everything down that they were trying to do, which was impressive because, we'd seen the week prior, West Monroe couldn't really stop it. But man, Ouachita Parish, they're always in these close games this year. In the regular season, they all went against them. And now throughout the playoffs, they've all been going for them. Last night on UTL, I held up the O. I said, Block's going to get this win. I'm not changing my UTL pick, but I'll have a UTL pick and I'll have a Ballin in the boot pick. I'm gonna go with Neville in this one. Thinking on it more, I'll probably be on Washita Parish tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow night I'll probably be saying, "Well, I think Neville's going to win it now." I just go back and forth. But when the game was a 1-point game, came down to the wire. How else are you going to expect it to go? But yeah, give me Neville. I think they're confident right now. But you also got to think about too. Last year in the semifinals, they had that game won.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a block kick returns for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I know Mike Collins today said, that left a sour taste in our mouths, and it's hard to not remember it. Like you hear a lot of the times, well, we're just going to try to forget about it. You can't forget about something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine a lot of these guys want to right that wrong and make them book their hotels down in New Orleans. So yeah, give me Neville.
Yeah, I mean, Neville's been playing great. That's a good point. I mean, how that ended last year. Let's just say there's not going to be an exchange of Christmas cards between Central and Neville based on how that ended last year.
There will be an exchange of Christmas cards between the West Monroe fan and David Bruton, though. Go listen to that segment if you haven't already on the Morning Drive Facebook page. That was great.
Okay, I gotta go listen to it for sure when I get a chance. Hayden Neville, Neville, what a statement they did against Barb. Because Jordan Griffith's been running over against everybody, but except Neville. Juju Burns, the defense shut them out. Parker Robinson's been playing really good quarterback play. They've been running the football. Neville is looking like a more of a complete team right now. But Washita's a hotter team coming in. So who you leaning towards here?
Yeah, on UTL in week probably 7 or 8, probably 6, 7.
Yeah.
I had to get one of me in there for the night. But we do a hot take every week on UTL, and my hot take one week was Neville's going to finish 5th in the district. Very hot take. But at the time, I was like, Ruston's playing super well, which Ruston ended up beating him. I was high on Washita Parish, still am. 1 point. But ever since then, they have completely demolished my prediction and just won every game essentially. It's been just sticking it to me the whole time. I guess I've gotten so many messages from Neville fans all year long and stuff, which is great because I like whenever Neville's good. And then on the bracket show, I put Washita Parish in the Superdome. They've been kind of my super dog all this bracket show. But man, Neville is, like Spencer said, they're just playing at a different level right now. It feels like. The Barb is one of the best offenses in the state. They've proven that time and time again.
Yeah.
And they go and they shut them out. Not only do they beat them, but they shut them out.
That was shocking. That was shocking to me. They shut them out.
Especially the way that they just played against West Monroe. Mm-hmm. You're thinking, okay, it's going to be a shootout type of game. What is Neville going to have? And Neville just completely shut everything down. And that was probably the most shocking thing of last week was Neville shutting out Barb. I'm going to go Neville. In this one, I think the home field advantage is what gets it for me because they played in Washita Parish last time in week 8. And then now they're at Neville. So I'm going Neville.
So we got 2 for Neville. I'll tell you what, Marshall, that backfield duo that Washita has is really good as well. And that's why they've been really, really hot. As of late, and we talk about Washita has been in all these games this year, and they've shown what kind of team they were. They beat Destrehan, so they're not going to be intimidated by anybody, especially a team they only lost by 1 point this year in Neville. But do you agree with the rest of the guys? They've been playing a lot better football. It's been a shaky start. They lost to Oak Grove in Mississippi. They lost to St. Thomas More, but after that, they really got rolling towards the second half of the year.
Yeah, Neville has gotten healthier throughout the year. Their offensive backfield between Robertson and Blackstone is kind of solidified and become what it needs to be for the postseason. Saw them in the Bayou Jam. Saw Washita in the Bayou Jam and at Ash on Halloween. It's not surprising to see this type of coaching take place. Mike Collins, he's been a defensive coordinator. He's been a coach at the Division I college level with Northwestern State, ULM, take your pick. Benji Lewis was on the staff at Neville in the past I think, their previous trip, this far in the playoffs. So both rosters have kind of completed what they've needed to get through district. As crazy it is to say, what I've watched of Dylan Berryman, I think he's come on stronger later in the year. I right around when he was committing to Texas around the Jamboree time, perhaps he wasn't playing at his top level, but man, he is exploding off the ball these days when you watch what he's doing. So it's going to be a really good game, but I just think that Neville, if Griffin for Barb goes to where he was to negative yards, I think Neville has that kind of answer to just stop Ouachita in their tracks and get a win at home.
And I know we talk about Ruston and what a run they've had with Coach Jared Ball, but if Neville can play like that against Barb, like they can win the whole thing right now, just the way that they've been playing. I mean, defensively with Juju Burns and that defense, talking about Mike Collins' defensive background. I mean, Andy Robinson's son, Parker, is really doing a great job of the
Andy Robinson's a former head coach too. I mean, yeah, they've got a great staff.
Yeah, they have a great staff over there. And, how it ended in the semifinals last year, I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster, even though Ouachita has definitely shown why they're in this moment right now and have a chance to go to the Dome. But I agree with y'all. I mean, I got Neville. I mean, to see Ruston and Neville in the Superdome, well, it'd be really cool. I mean, I got basically a district matchup in the Superdome. Well, it would be really cool. So give me Neville. But that should be a great one. It was 41-37, by the way. Ruston won that football game. I think that was the only other loss Neville had. Yeah.
I'll say this really quick. Like just kind of being on the 2-5A beat these past few years and covering it every single week. As much as people were talking about it this year, I was a little bit like, slow down, y'all. Let's see. And boom, here we are, 3 out of 4 in the semis.
Yep, Zachary is the only shot to break up the party in the Superdome. So, guys, we're finally at the finish line. This is our last bracket of the night, Division 1 Select. I had the honor last year of calling this matchup for Varsity Sports Now, and the car and Catholic, and should be a great one again. Once again, Morris Jeff Stadium. We talk about who is going to be in the car, who can do it. Now, a good candidate is Catholic High because they came really close last year and actually pulling it off. They were really 3 or 4 plays away from winning that game last year. They get a chance for revenge at Morris Jeff. Should be an awesome matchup. Probably top game in the state. And then you got your Catholic matchup. It's not just about 2-5A. We got 2-5A and non-select. And then select, we got Catholic League against another Baton Rouge team against Catholic, the only one there. But you got St. Augustine and John Curtis. Purple Knights this year have been really great as well. Robert Valdez, what a job he's done in only his second year at St. Augustine. And they took care of business against John Curtis, so I think 55-28 in the regular season game. But this is John Curtis after all, and this is the JT Curtis. So we'll see how the second game goes. But those are your 2 semifinal pairings. We got to talk about Endicott and Catholic first. Endicott, look at what happened on signing day. They had 15 players sign. I don't know how they're able to get to the whole ceremony like they did. And I know we had Hayden Howard, senior, on watching the show. I think his son signed with Texas, but shows you how deep this team really is. But guys, Catholic, can they get it done? I mean, they're definitely one of those teams that are capable of being in the car. And then we talk about maybe the 2 top powerhouse football programs in the state. We talk about Catholic and the car. Spencer, do you have in the car? They've been the top team in the state. Can they continue keeping that moniker?
Well, Jace, when we did the Week 10 game for Edna Carr, the Cougars were very adamant. They said, you know what, guys, come back and do our semifinal game. Some people might say, well, how'd they know they were going to be in the semifinal? If you're Edna Carr, you knew you were going to be in the semifinal. So this is an LHSA Network game of the week. Obviously, you got to take this chance to say that, tune in. It's going to be a great one on Friday, tomorrow night. Normally I would say
Yeah,
Friday night.
that's
But
right.
this
That's
tomorrow
right.
night.
Tomorrow night.
Be a great one on the LHSA Network TV app. Like you mentioned, last year 21-19. It's the Fighting Jace Lejeunes against.
That's right. That's
Edna
right. Go
Carr.
Bears, baby.
There you go. This Carr team, though, you mentioned it, 15 signees going on to play at the next level. But Catholic saw almost all of those guys last year and gave them a run for their money down to the wire. Felt like they probably should have beat them. It's just I feel like right now it's so hard to pick against Carr. Just because you see like every single week everything they're able to do. I think Catholic can do it, but it's going to take Carr kind of having a rough start, which I think last year's game they did. In halftime they had to make some adjustments. John had to make a couple more big plays, and I think Carr is going to get the win. I think that place is going to be rocking, though. If there's one thing about Morris Jeff Stadium, if there's two teams playing there and it's as high, I think St. Aug played there earlier this year against Carr, and that game was rocking. This game's going to be up there as well. So give me Carr and another close one, thriller down to the wire.
So Spencer's got Edna Carr advancing to the state championship game. Hayden, like I mentioned, called that game last year, 21-19. But Catholic was right there. It was just Edna Carr made the plays when they needed to make the plays. But we talk about that combination of talent, 15 players signing to play college football, and obviously what Bryce Brown is as a coach is a tough combination to beat.
Yeah, what a great coaching matchup this is between Bryce Brown, Edna Carr, and then Hudson Fuller at Catholic. And then everyone will talk about Edna Carr and all their signees, but Catholic has a ton of talent on their team. I mean, it feels like a lot of people have kind of forgotten a little bit about Catholic throughout the year once they lost to Madison Ridgeland, who's a powerhouse in Mississippi, one of the best teams up there. And then the loss to West Monroe was just kind of watching that game was like I was shocked at that, but it felt like after those two, people just kind of started forgetting about them, but they continued to just roll over everyone else they played. And then, man, going into Algiers and winning is always going to be one of the most difficult things to do in the state. You go into Berman, you go into Morris FX Jeff Stadium, and it is loud. All of Algiers is there. I mean, it's just it's a special place. The announcer is famous. Like like everything about it screams you're gonna have to play your best game whenever you go into that stadium. And then you go to Carr, or as Gary Swallow likes to say on Under the Lights, the University of Edna Carr.
University of Edna Carr, yep.
I mean, what more can you say? I mean, this is the best team in the state. They're one of the top 10 in the country all year long. And I can't pick against Edna Carr just because they're Edna Carr. It feels like it's just a bad pick. But if there was a game to pick against them, it's this one. But I have to go Edna Carr.
So we got Edna Carr as well, Marshall. Like we mentioned, like Edna Carr has deserved the title of being the best team in the state, and I feel like if you're going to do that, you're going to have to knock them off to get that title.
Yeah, and Jace, you and I have talked about that several times this season. Who can knock off Edna Carr? Once again, Hayden nails it because West Monroe loses to North DeSoto early.
Yeah.
Then they go, and then, the very next week, there's the Catholic and West Monroe game. And at that point, we're all like, what? So, and that is exactly what happened, is that somehow Catholic High kind of fell off that front burner of D1 select contenders, especially with the seasons that Ash had again and different things like that. But I think Hayden's correct that they kind of fell off the radar because of the way that non-district schedule kind of compels people to overreact at things, which I do it all the time too. That being said, I'm not picking against Carr yet. Somebody's going to beat him. Cass Hargis has said it. Somebody's going to beat him one day, and it's going to be it's probably going to be a game you're not going to expect. But I'm going to keep picking the Cougars until they give me any reason not to.
Will someone beat them though? I mean, they might just not.
I mean, there's a lot of FCS teams that
He didn't say win. He didn't say
still for a
win.
roster again, and the car has. But yeah, I mean, talk about this game. I mean, following this game a lot last year and being able to call it, like, Catholic was right there. I mean, and I know that Darren made a comment here. Curd Dog, great matchup, 9th consecutive semifinal. They will show up. There's no question they won't show up. They were right there last year, and in fact, if a couple plays bounced Catholics away, they should have won the game. But the difference in that game last year was John Johnson's legs. That was really the difference in that game last year. And to be honest with you, I think it's going to mirror that. I think John Johnson's legs are going to be huge in this one, in this game against Catholic. Catholic's not going to be intimidated by Edna Carr. And Edna Carr doesn't have they have a great receiving core, obviously, but not quite the receiving core they had last year. So Catholic's going to be right there, and they'll have a chance to win this game. So if there's anybody that can beat Edna Carr, it's definitely Catholic. But it's kind of like what y'all guys said. Until somebody can do it, somebody can prove us wrong, you're going to have to go with Edna Carr. And this painfully kills me as a Catholic High alum, but I'm going with Edna Carr. In fact, there's some strategy to this, though, because when they won their first state championship, that was my senior year of high school, I told the guys, there's no way you're beating Brother Martin. They beat Brother Martin. There's no way you're beating Evangel. They beat Evangel. There's no way you're beating Rummel. They beat Rummel. So there we go.
Jace was your motivational speaker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah. Darren says boo, but I'm just trying to motivate your guys. Motivate those Bears, baby.
At least you guys get to pick your high schools for a chance in a semifinal, you know. At least you guys get that chance, you know. Some of us, we haven't been good in football forever, man.
Yeah.
It's funny, JC brought up the receiving core for Edna Carr.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, their best receiver is on the sideline and has been all year with Ja'Kai Anderson.
Yeah.
He transferred from McDonough 35 and has been ineligible all year long. And so that's crazy for me to think about. Like, they've been so good still with Floyd Jones and I forget the kid from California who came in as well.
Yeah, the kid from Destrehan too.
Like, they've been so good. And then to think about, they have another guy just sitting on the sideline that can't play right now. And they'd be even better. It's just crazy.
Under the lights, Curd Dog. There we go. There
Jordy, you didn't pick him last night though, Jordy. You want to talk on the stream now?
Jordan had the car.
Yeah, Jordan had car.
Okay. Yep. Darren, great show, guys. Well, I appreciate Darren. Hope Colin's doing good. So yeah, Prentice is watching from John Kurtz. Here we go. Now we're having a conversation, SEC of high school football. I'm listening. So I'm glad you are listening because guess what? We're going to talk about those John Curtis Patriots, and we're going to go with Let's Go Bears under the lights as well. So John Curtis, St. Augustine. It's hard to beat JT Curtis. What was it, 4 times in a row? I know that they won last year. St. Augustine won last year. They won this year. Trying to do that again, maybe 3 times in a row. But this is JT Curtis. This is John Curtis we're talking about. And they got to go against St. Augustine. The Purple Knights handled business 55-28 in the regular season. We knew when Robert Valdez got the job at St. Augustine that, okay, they're going to turn it on just like that. And it take any time. And the Purple Knights been playing some really dominant football. But this is also John Curtis. So, Spencer, in this Catholic League matchup, what Prentice said as the SEC of high school football in the Catholic League, who you have here?
You know, it's hard. You mentioned it, man. It's hard to beat JT Curtis come this time of year. Last year, I felt like everyone kept picking them to lose every week, and every week they would turn around and win. And it took all the way into the semifinals where they finally fell. But this is a rematch that I think last time they played, I think St. Aug just jumped out on them. But I tell you what, the thing that's been fun to watch about this St. Aug team is every time I've been out there and seen them play, you don't have to put the comment up, Jay Swan.
I have to. I have to show
Every
that
time
one,
I've been out there and seen the Purple Knights play, I feel like I see someone new, and they've just been so beat up by injuries throughout the year. It's just insane how they've been able to have guys step in. They're a huge football team, but I think the big question is going to be on the line play. Can St. Augustine's line continue to do things that, as Valdez calls them, the big uglies? Can they continue doing what they can do best? I picked St. Aug last night on UTL. And I'm thinking this is going to be an overtime thriller. I think St. Aug's going to come out on top. I wrote down 37-35. But I'm going to preface this with I would not be surprised to see JT Curtis next week on the Superdome carpet taking on Bryce Brown in another rematch.
Talk about two goats there. Bryce Brown and JT Curtis in the Superdome will be really fun to watch. Hayden, you have John Curtis getting revenge on the Purple Knights, especially how that first game was. It was a dominant win for the Purple Knights.
Yeah, I mean, St. Aug scored the most points that's ever been scored on JT Curtis last time they played in week 9, I think it was. And then, like Spencer said, they're out. They're on their 4th running back right now. St. Aug is, and then on top of that, their number 1 wide receiver, Raekwon Williams, goes down in week 9 last time they played John Curtis. Of course, they have Miguel Whitley on the other side of the field, so it felt like it didn't even matter. But it felt like they just everything that should have slowed them down hasn't so far. And I still think that St. Aug is a year ahead of schedule. Like, honestly, I think St. Aug is a year ahead of where we all thought they would be with Robert Valdez coming in. I think next year was kind of the year that we were expecting St. Aug to come on to the scene in a big, big way. And then John Curtis, what more can you say about the program? I mean, every single year it's a bad pick to pick against them. Yeah. It just is, their running back Boudreaux is fantastic. Their quarterback, who I believe is a sophomore, so I'm not mistaken.
He's either a freshman or a sophomore.
Yeah, I know he's underclassman. He's been fantastic all year long. And then their highlight of their defense is their DBs, and so that really plays against the strength of St. Aug, strength on strength. With this team, I don't expect it to be a blowout like last week, week 9. And man, it's hard for me to pick against St. Aug just because I think they're so good. I'm gonna go St. Aug in this one.
So we got 2 for St. Aug. We'll see Marshall. You're going with the Purple Knights here. They've been only loss of the season was against Edna Carr. So you're going with the Purple Knights here. You're going with the GOAT.
So this is our last pick of the evening. Two of the big storylines for the semifinals have been rematches and weather. So I think that, we talk about it's hard to beat a team twice. I think a John Curtis team and a JT Curtis coach team is one of the toughest rematches to win. As far as weather goes, I don't remember the year. It was the year after Willie Allen graduated from John Curtis, and it was when Keaton Thompson was the senior at Landry Walker. Ended up at Mississippi State, I believe. So week 1, those two teams played in New Orleans, and there was a lightning delay, and it was bad weather. And so teams had to go back to the locker room, wait on the sideline, da-da-da-da-da. When you saw the way that when it's finally time to start dealing, all right, teams could start warming up, the way that Coach Curtis got those guys, mentally ready to face off against Keaton Thompson in bad weather and in a high-profile game. Like, it was just so impressive to see from the sideline. Jace, you spent a ton of time with Coach Valdez this season. You know exactly what his approach is going to be. But it's kind of like every year before my March Madness basketball bracket gets busted, I sometimes close my eyes and think, which coach do I see shaking hands at midcourt happy and which coach do I see frustrated? I'm going with the Patriots. I think the Patriots win the rematch. I think they have all the preparation they need to get this win at Tad Gormley in City Park. Give me the John Curtis Patriots to get the win, get back to the Superdome.
Well, PJ saying, just so we're clear, gentlemen, I'm keeping receipts. Well, PJ, just to let you know, like Marshall, I am for you. I got the John Curtis Patriots because why go against the GOAT? Because this is just the perfect trap. Like Saint Augustine is rolling. You're going against John Curtis, and you fall into the GOAT's trap. So I'm gonna go with John Curtis. I'm gonna go with the Patriots. I got a lot of respect for the Purple Knights, for St. Augustine, but I gotta go with the Patriots. I mean, there were plenty of times that JT Curtis burned me over the years, so I'm not going against him. So I'm going to go. Yes, right, PJ. That's right. I'm going with the Patriots. Now make me look smart on Friday night, PJ. Make me look smart. So
get some rest.
Give me the Patriots. But that'll be great matchup. But we get two of the best coaches in the country. You get JT Curtis and Bryce Brown in the Superdome. That will be fun to see that in the Superdome. So that is our final bracket of the night. We're going to bring everybody on board for basically our final thoughts here as we wrap up, as we're going into Friday. Actually, it's 11 o'clock at night, so we're about to go into Friday, into game day. But this is really an opportunity, guys. Thank y'all so much for spending 2.5 hours. Sorry, Zachariah. I did not go with Plaquemine, so it was a clean sweep. I wish I could have told you went with the Green Devils, but I did not. But hopefully y'all prove me wrong. So that's just, I'm playing chess, not checkers. That's what I'm doing. But guys, just final thoughts for tonight. And hey, this is really the moment a lot of these players have prepared for, have dreamed of, getting an opportunity to play in the Dome, and now you're going to have to go and earn it. So, Spencer, any final thoughts from it tonight?
This is going to be a great week. I'm excited about all the games tomorrow. I'm going to try to keep updates flowing from my Twitter page as best as I can. I will say I might get locked into following some other games and having some streams up on my phone, I might get a little distracted, but hopefully I'll stay locked in long enough to be able to keep tweeting out stuff. But I'm just excited. This is, we talk about Christmas, and I know we're sitting here and it's 20 days from Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is tomorrow night. Christmas Day is next
week. It is.
And so I'm just excited. If I was a high school football fan, I'd be waiting in line outside the stadium with my tent and probably a little fire going if there was no red flag warning. But just appreciative of all the continued coverage that high school football gets and high school sports in general. I just love to see it nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Marshall, just your final thoughts on the semifinals tomorrow. Zachariah says Jay, Spencer, Marshall. Hey, and calling all of our names out. We're going to prove y'all wrong. So that's what we're trying to do. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. That means we've done our jobs. We've done that. So Marshall, your final thoughts as we're getting to it. A chance to punch your ticket to the Dome.
Look, y'all remember the week 1 games with the water breaks at the 6-minute timeouts and seemingly every skill position player catching a cramp at some point during the game. Fast forward to the semifinals, and we're digging our duck boots out of the closet and making sure there's enough hot chocolate in the thermos. What a season it's been. It's not that long ago since it was burning up hot, and now it'll be freezing cold. But it's been such a fun season, and in this kind of this 2025 time where we all get to cover it in this modern way, it's been so much fun. I hope the students kind of feel the magnitude of it, which is what we're trying to create, is hype this stuff up. So I can't wait to see the weather and how that plays into to playoff football. All the major postseason games are played in the cold for the most part. So I can't wait to kind of see that element of it. And then again, just it's been so much fun this season to cover it in this modern way, be able to watch games, break down games, agree, disagree, get things right, get things wrong. And it's all about promoting the programs, and that has been a blast.
Absolutely well said, Marshall. Hayden, for your final thoughts. And it's kind of crazy that it's exciting because you have a chance to see a lot of teams get to the dome, and the dome's always the favorite part of the year. But it's also your other reminder saying, like, this is it. Like, this is it for the season. You got semifinals and state championship games left.
Yeah, I mean, this is the final time that these teams will play on their home fields or play on a field other than the dome.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the communities. There's a lot of communities where not everyone can make the dome trip on a Thursday if you play on a Thursday or the Friday afternoon game or something like that. So, the support I'm expecting for this weekend across the entire state, I expect to be just massive for every team because it's such a big deal what these kids have accomplished this year to be here this week playing football on football Christmas Eve, as Spencer likes to put it.
Yep.
And then, Marshall, I do have to say one thing. You said that, a bunch of teams had cramps earlier in the year. LCA hadn't had a cramp since July. Just want to throw that out there.
There you go.
Born ready.
That's why the number one seed.
Oh, I cramped up.
That's what it is. You just can't get cramps, guys.
I weeked up. I was cramped up on week 1.
Little known secret. But yeah, I'm just excited to watch football. More football every week. It kind of sucks though because there's less and less games to watch every week. I like to watch 20, 30 games a week all throughout from Friday night all until Thursday night and stuff. And now there's only 16 this week, so that kind of sucks for me, but it's the best of the best, which is the exciting thing about it. So I'm just excited for some really good football tomorrow night.
We're going to have some great football tomorrow night. PJ, let's see. We got a couple final comments here. So pull them up. This is awesome. Heading to bed to rest up. Thanks for this. My teammates and I appreciate you all. Curtis to the dome. So we'll see if the PJ and the Patriots get it done. Zachariah Dorsey, we got bittersweet moments. Darren Coates. Jessica Jenkins, we have to prove them wrong, Zachariah. So the Plaquemine.
They're still around. They'll stick around to the end.
They'll stick around the whole time. So Under the Lights as well. Jordan does an awesome job. I don't think Hayden, I don't think we've gotten to a Under the Lights time. Even though it was 2.5 hours, I don't think we've hit the Under the Lights time.
No, Spencer, I think
we ran a phone battery out.
I think me and Spencer left at like 1:00 last night.
I got home at like 2:30 in the morning. I had a 7 a.m. call.
We killed an iPhone battery.
Y'all did. I'm sure so. But they do an awesome job. See you all at the Dome. Yeah, we can see Jordan at the Dome as well. Great work as always. And I'll be remiss to end the show, guys. Promote what y'all, obviously what all y'all doing, and shout out to everybody. So Spencer, obviously, Elch's Network Game of the Week is big time Catholic and Car, and obviously next week, if you can't make it to the Dome, there's only one way to watch those games in the Dome, right?
Well, there's only one right way, in my opinion, to watch.
Right way,
you can technically watch
on
the
right
FHS network, but for the $10, $15, whatever it costs to get that, just go buy yourself a little Roku smart TV device, attach it up to your TV. Spencer LHSA Network, kind of how it is right here on my name tag thing here. That's my Instagram. My pinned video is a video of me showing how it works and showing how great the TV app is. I love it so much. Just continue to be blessed to do what I do. I want to give a shout out to, on Friday night, you want to see highlights of every single game. I'm going to go ahead and promise it right now. We're going to have highlights of every single game, 11 to midnight. Steve Schneider, and he's probably gone to bed now, but Troy LaBeouf Troy will be gone this week. I don't even know who Steve's secret guest is. I have no idea who it is, because since Troy's going to be in Opelousas, he can't make it back to the studio in time. So it'll be Steve plus secret guest. I have no idea who it is, but it'll be a highlight show, 11 to midnight, every single game. You'll see my face on there probably. That'll be on YouTube. That'll be on the LHSA Network TV app. It's going to be a blast. Excited. And then hopefully we'll be talking after the Dome a little bit about the future. We do a lot of championship games and ready to see what happens next week. But there you go. That's my statement. And the last thing before this is my curtain call right here. To all the players playing this week and to those who were eliminated in weeks past, hope you enjoy it. Playing high school football. I didn't get to do it, but it looks like a great joy. And just high school sports in general continue to be the thing that I think it's one of the most purest forms of sport in this country. So there you go. There's my close the curtains on me.
Yeah, perfect. Well said, Spencer. Marshall, I know 446 Sports does an awesome job as well streaming a lot of the games. And I know they're going to be streaming, y'all going to be streaming the Gridiron Football Bowl game at the end of the year. We're excited once again for y'all to be streaming that bowl game. But the Red River Roundup every Saturday morning as well. I'll be on it a little earlier than usual because it was like Santa Claus is coming to town or pairs. So looks like there's gonna be a handsome Santa Claus coming in Port Allen. I gotta say that. But Marshall, just anything about 446 Sports, the Red River Roundup, anything else that's going on?
Yeah. So Red River Roundup, that's my brand that I use to cover high school football, and once football ends, we'll be moving into some other sports too. But follow us there for coverage of. We do a lot of different things. I'll kind of wake up every morning and think of different ideas to try to cover these programs. So Red River Roundup, like I said, that's my brand, and we partner with 446 Sports. Who does a lot of live streaming and content as well. 446 tomorrow night. I won't be a part of this because I'll be on the call for Union at Gina. But starting at 7 on YouTube, 446 will be doing kind of a look-in show, a scoreboard show to kind of keep people updated around the state. A lot of streaming options, as Hayden has pointed out. So 446 will be doing that starting at 7. If you are interested, the Union game will be on sportstalk977.com. If you want to listen to us call that game. And the Red River Roundup will be live Saturday morning at 8, recapping every game.
Absolutely great stuff as always, Marshall and Hayden. It looks like it's going to be game day on the game day set up.
So no, we're not doing game day just because the weather was so like we couldn't tell kind of deal. So we didn't have the time. Like now, if we had 2 days now, then yeah, we would say go with it. But weather being how it was, we couldn't commit to it and give the time to put on the best product that we want to create. So no game day tomorrow, but we will be live on the KVN TV app on LCA Night Sports YouTube page as well for free. And then also a big shout out to the KVN TV crew. Done games all year long. And then also, not a whole lot of people know this. All of our LCA people do because it's an LCA thing. But every Thursday night or the night before a game, we release a show, me and Pastor Jay on a panel, and we review our last week's game and we preview for whatever game is the next night. So that actually aired tonight on the KVN TV app at 7. It's on demand. You can watch it for free. You catch me on there. Catch me on UTL Under the Lights on Wednesday nights, 8:30. I'll be in the Dome next week. Hope to see you, Jace, tomorrow at the game. So just excited for more football.
Yeah, really, really excited as well, guys. Y'all doing really all three of y'all doing an awesome job covering high school football, high school athletics for sure. And make sure to keep track of us as well. GridironFootballUSA.com. I'm way behind on our bowl game commit announcement, so I get to that once these high school playoffs settle down a little bit. But you can keep track of all our stuff at GridironFootballUSA.com. All right, guys, we'll see how dumb or how smart we look by the time tomorrow night ends, and hopefully we look pretty smart after tomorrow. I really hope so. But for Spencer, for Marshall, for Hayden, I'm Jay. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us wherever you're watching, whether on X, YouTube, Facebook. Appreciate everybody that tuned in and has also helped out with the comments and been involved with the show. So if you're watching this, if you're playing, get some sleep. I mean, you got a big game tomorrow. Get some sleep if you're still watching this and you're a player. Got to get ready for game day tomorrow. And good luck to everybody. And hopefully that your team goes to the Dome, and then we'll see y'all next week, and we'll start the preview those state championship games. Have yourself a good night, everybody, and we'll see y'all tomorrow for a post-game Ball in the Boot show. Good night, everybody. Good luck to everybody that's trying to get it to the dome.